welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. The best television show not on TV. You know what it is, man. We missed y'all this week. Didn't get a chance to do the Giant overreaction on Monday simply because there's not much to overreact to when it comes to the New York Giants. And we decided to push the Tuesday show back, being that the Washington football team game had got flexed to Tuesday versus the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Jam-packed weekend in the NFC East. Two teams facing off against two other teams. It was a really fun weekend, minus the losses. Washington could not stop Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' rushing attack. And just got word here that Nick Sirianni has entered the NFL COVID protocol, so hopefully he can get well before this week's upcoming game, man. We pretty much have football like every day, man. And, you know, I'm definitely not mad at that, but when my team is not in the mix, I kind of feel some kind of way, man. The Giants turned the ball over 4 times against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. Got our butts kicked, man. We got 3 games left in the 2021 regular season, man. This season is really flying by, man. We appreciate all of y'all rocking with us throughout the whole year, man. Without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, my man, The Beard, fresh off of the L. How's it feel to be in the basement with me and my New York Giants, my guy?
Hey, man, listen, look. You said it. We got 3 games left, all right? 29 out of the 32 NFL teams are still alive in the playoff picture. You can't ask for anything better than that, you know? Like, we got 3 weeks of football and only 3 teams
very
eliminated.
Optimistic over there, huh?
Hey, listen, man. I know our saying is not to be, you know, optimistic, pessimistic, or realistic. I know that's our saying. But listen, I am a guy that's like, look, if there's football to be played and my team's not eliminated, you know, like, especially, and it would be I think it would be a little bit different if we weren't ending the season against division opponents.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you. Because it's like, I got into a huge thing last night with one of the Washington fans about
tanking. Let me guess. Was it on Twitter?
Yes, it was on Twitter. About tanking. And I'm just like, I don't think people understand. Tanking is a made-up mythical thing by fans. Okay? Like, NFL players are not tanking. There's
oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
for sure.
You know, you might have some weird situations, right, where like a
Philadelphia,
coach,
week 17 last
exactly. And listen, if you guys have never seen, you know what I might do? I might put that into a YouTube short and upload it onto our channel. If you guys have never seen the clip of us doing the live game last year when they benched Jalen Hurts, it's one of the all-time greatest Authentic in the Beard clips. The instant reaction from everybody that was on that stream was just, you couldn't believe it.
Here?
Couldn't believe it.
Some crazy. Sorry about that. I'm seeing some crazy news here on Twitter.
What's the breaking news?
It's not good breaking news, but it's
yeah.
talking about Vincent Jackson, how he died from chronic alcohol use, man.
Yeah, he was. They said that he had the level 3 CTE, which I'm sure, you know, kind of led to that sort of, you know, drinking and things like that, just because he was just so messed up from, you know, the football hits. Super sad situation, you know what I'm saying?
Super
just
sad.
the way that whole thing went down, and you've seen it happen in a few other cases recently as well. Retired players, former players who have been dealing with that CTE,
man.
and how it really affects like the rest of their life. So
big prayers out to his family, man, and all his
Yeah.
supporters. That's pretty crucial. We've been losing some football players here, man. Demaryius Thomas was the other one too, man. That was a tough one as well, man. But yeah, man, I do sense a little bit of optimism coming from you over there. Some would say that you're giving some real fandom vibes here. I got into a couple. What do you people call this? A tiff? A tiff?
Tiff?
A tiff?
Those people, the caucasity.
The caucasity. Yeah, a tiff. I got into some tiffs on Twitter, and some people were actually coming for some content creators in the Giants community, man, and I just think that's a little bit unfair. You know, just people in this community, whether you like their content or not, that's up to you. You can mute people, unfollow people on Twitter, not subscribe to them. But when you constantly are in their lives and then you're constantly, you know, talking, you know, a bunch of crap about them, I think that's a little bit unfair. So we got into a little one on Twitter about had to do with Entertainer and a few others and some fans coming at him, but then trying to kind of big me up in the same tweet. And I go and I like the first tweet, but then in the comments of the tweets, he's dogging every content creator across the Giants community. I'm just like, that's not the vibes, bro, man. You know what I mean? Like, these people do put their time in, some more than us. I mean, we've been podcasting for about 4 days a week, religiously through the whole football season. And I know some of these people he was tagging, they like doing content daily on there. And I think that's just a little bit unfair. They were saying that content creators are a big part of the division in the Giants community. And I'm just like, I think that's a little bit unfair, man. You know, I think if anything, the content creators keep things together and alive here, man, because I wasn't as invested in football as I am now until I started watching people like Entertainer, man. He really got me like involved in the whole YouTube game, watching his channel back in like, I think 2018, maybe that was, or maybe it was 2017. And you know, that just really got me more invested, because then you got something to look forward to when you wake up in the morning on days where there isn't football. And this week that really wasn't the case. We've had football pretty much every day outside of today, and then tomorrow we're gonna be right back at it with the previews. It just seemed like this week, this little opposite of Victory Monday and Tuesday, you know, it doesn't gotta linger but for one day, and then we right back at it, you know.
That's a positive, right?
That's a positive,
that's gotta be a positive, you know. And listen, I mean, I've been gonna be cheering for the Giants this week, like I was last week.
I see, man. I'm very checked out on the New York Giants. I will keep it real, and I know you're saying you don't believe in the tanking, right? But it does happen. I think that last year with Jacksonville, the whole Gardner Minshew situation, there's something sketchy going on there. That might be a blatant tank job right there. And me as a fan, I don't want my players to go out there and just lose the game, but I don't want them to win the game either. So maybe we want you guys to win.
Chicago. So go blue. We want you guys to win. We need you guys to win.
And you know I don't want to see y'all in the playoffs. I got to keep it real with you. It's kind of fun to have you back down here in the basement again. You know, taking another L, because I don't want to be here 2 years in a row watching y'all go to the playoffs while I got to sit here and co-host a play-by-play or something without my team involved. I'm not having it. Hey, at least I'm going to keep it real with you. You know, the misery does love company over here.
Yeah. I guess you're right. And I mean, listen, it was a wild weekend in general. I talk about the 29, teams still alive. How about those Detroit Lions upsetting
that was a big
the
upset.
Arizona Cardinals, and I mean, Cooper Kupp is
man.
So listen, I mean, we've talked about Mr. Kupp, and how good of a route runner he is, and what's interesting is I hope that he breaks. Let me make sure I'm phrasing this right. I hope that if he breaks Calvin Johnson's record, which I would imagine he will, I hope he does it in 16 games and not 17 games. That way, it's more of a realistic.
There's no asterisk next to it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But either way, I think he's going to do it. Now, when he does do it, when I heard this on Pat McAfee earlier today, which I thought was super interesting because of all the Stafford slander out there, like, what do you think? How much of, do you give credit to the quarterback like Matthew Stafford if he's on the passing end of the two best receiving yards seasons in NFL history?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely says a lot about him. We know he's no slouch at the quarterback position. But Cooper Kupp been doing this, and Megatron is Megatron. Man, you can't forget one of those seasons he led the league in touchdowns, and they didn't win a game. So, I don't know how much that speaks towards the quarterback, but Matthew Stafford is definitely slinging it. And I think Jared Goff has proven a lot of people this year that maybe he don't belong in them conversations with guys like Daniel Jones and people like that, because he's making some throws out there. He made some throws on Sunday that wowed me. I'm like, man, this kid got a bullet.
Yeah, and what sucks too is he wins that game, and then boom, he's in COVID protocol after the game.
People gonna have to deal with that this year. It's unfortunate. And hopefully, just for his football's sake, he's vaccinated so that he's got that chance to play, because we saw Odell Beckham like 4 days before they had to play. He was on the COVID protocol as well, and he ended up playing in that game fine. Saw some slander from Skip Bayless this morning about Odell Beckham, talking about what does it say about Odell Beckham when he can't compare up to Cooper Kupp, and it's like, bro, Cooper Kupp's like the best wide receiver in the NFL. Like, doesn't say much, to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that doesn't say anything at all. Like, I mean, it's they're not the same player either. They're different style receivers.
Yeah, very different style. And I mean, one guy's getting accustomed to everything that's going on over there. But it was a little bit unfortunate to see Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham's, 3-game going into a 4-game winning streak. They were trying to both get 4 touchdowns and didn't get in that game. That game was a little bit slow. It was a little bit slow, I'd say, and Rams pulled away and took care of business. I was kind of trying to simultaneously watch that one as I was watching the Washington football game. But I'm like right now, man, it was a lot of football to digest. It was definitely a lot of football to digest, man. We're going to get into breaking these games down for sure, man. I see the chat is already on fire, so let's go ahead and say what's up to a couple folks in the chat, man, and we'll get pushing into these 2 NFC East matchups that we had here.
Faux show. So, big shout out to First Person Taylor in the building. Thank you. I'm going to start calling you Coach Taylor. Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
Coach Taylor, what's up, J-Mo? How you living, man?
Lucas checking in from Australia says, Authentic in the Beard, you guys are becoming the only fun thing about football these days. We appreciate you as always. Big shout outs to Lucas.
Big shout out, my
Lucas hooked us up with a parlay spreadsheet that I am amazed over.
I'm still digging my way through that, man. We definitely appreciate that, Lucas. That's major work right there, man. So shout out to the analytics team one time with Authentic in the Beard. My guy Lucas in the building. We got
a little team going, man. We got our beat reporters, our sources, our analytics team.
Yep.
Shout out. Heavyweight champion of the world,
hey.
Greg. Thank you for joining us, sir. We appreciate it as always. Marjorie is in the building. What's going on, Marjorie?
What up,
Thank
Marjorie?
you, as always, for holding us down. And my favorite YouTube GQ name, Edward Squires, is in the building. I think you need to add, unless this is Edward Squires is your completely real name, I think you should add like a third at the end of that. Edward Squires a third. Like, it just sounds like that would be, that would be super fly for sure. And big shout out to Joe Deals, our resident Chicago Bears fan. Says, hope everyone is doing good. Thank you for joining us, sir. We appreciate it. The Get Back with Ashton Griffith is in the
that's
building.
what's up.
Thank
What's up,
you
fam?
for joining
How
us.
you living?
We
That's Ash Money's new channel right there. Make sure
Nice,
y'all go
nice.
sub up if y'all not subbed up. He just did a Twitter poll for the name, and it was me and my girl looking at my Twitter feed, and I was like, which one of these names you like better? The Get Back? I can't remember what the other one was, but I see you made a decision on that, man. Salute, Ash Money.
Shout out. Lax Fo is in the building. What's going on, brother? Great to see you, sir.
Shout out,
Hope
Lax.
all is well. Old man Rob is in the building. What's going on, Rob? Hope you're doing well, sir. Sebastian is here as well. What's going on, Sebastian? Keys high. TVN Sports, Green Bay Packers looking pretty good, man.
Yeah, man. What they got, about 10 wins,
good.
I think, now?
10 or 11.
That reminds me, I got to upload something here.
That was a good game, that Green Bay Baltimore Ravens game. That was a good game for sure.
Yeah, solid, man. Backup quarterback looking real nice.
Yeah, we might have to pick him up this week. Big shout out to the homie Philly Flipper for the $1.99 super chat. I was waiting for you to come in and say something. It says, fly, Eagles, fly. I mean, run, Eagles, run.
Big shout out Philly Flipper one time in the building, man.
Zachary, I think you are correct. I think the Giants need to fire Joe Judge, too.
Yep, I definitely think you correct on that one, Zachary.
You just might be onto something. And look who... when a win like this happens, they all come out. Big Play Slay is in the building. Shout out to Big Play Slay, man. Congratulations. I mean, listen, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but the Eagles are a team that is built for a playoff run. I'm just gonna throw that out there. In a weird way.
Answer one of my questions I got for that breakdown. I'll wait to get it a little spicy once we get to that segment.
No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. What's going on? Great to see you. Appreciate you stopping in the building. Nate Talks Football is in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. Who else we got in here? Oh, that is a troll, a bot, tech bot. I almost clicked on that and said, Mehefe Bedidid. Thank you for joining us. Big shout out to Lax Ofofo for the $4.99 super chat. Says the Giants fans are the biggest part of the division in the Giants community. Look, hey, I was telling all day before I got on the air. I said, man,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't like my fans. I don't like my team's fans. They're just
You was saying that.
They're driving me crazy.
This is what you got to understand. Like, just because
Fan
somebody
is short
liked the
for fanatic.
Giants or somebody liked the Washington football team, that don't mean I gotta like you. It's that simple. It's that simple. And people think that there's like some underlying big brotherhood that happens just because two people root for the same team. Man, I be seeing people saying the craziest stuff about the Giants on Twitter and other things outside of the Giants, information that has nothing to do with football, where I'm just like, you crazy. straight up, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, big shout out to the homie Roldy.
Yes,
for the
sir.
$10 super chat. Says, what up, fellas? Authentic, I'm still disappointed in you for making it seem like I was lying this morning, but I respect your feelings about the situation.
Okay, so look. So, in the morning when I saw these tweets about entertainer and division and all that, right? Roldy's Twitter name don't got his, like, Roldy in the name. I didn't even know it was Roldy. But they're going to find out it's Roldy. See, and if anybody has deserved to maybe kind of troll entertainer a little bit, it definitely is Roldy. And had I've known, I just started following Roldy on Twitter like just maybe a couple of weeks ago or something like that. And I really didn't even put two and two together. I would have maybe answered those questions a little bit different, Roldy. I didn't know that was you for real. And the way entertainer reacted to it, I'm pretty sure maybe he didn't know that was you either. Because he was like, fans like this that make it why I don't want to make as much content no more and all that stuff. I think we both just didn't know it was Roldy. But I'll give entertainer the benefit of the doubt on that. But if anybody deserves to like talk a little smack about any content creator, it's definitely Roldy. Roldy's always in the building, always supporting all these channels out here. And as much as him and Chris disagree, he's still always in Chris's chat showing big love. So big salute to the homie Roldy one time.
Shout
and you're right.
Roldy.
He says, still disappointed in you for making it seem like I was lying this morning. Okay, so you weren't really lying, but you was kind of stretching the truth a little bit. Just kind of, a little elastic on that thing.
Big shout out to Roldy. Appreciate you, brother, as
and
always.
You know what's funny is he said something about, like, ain't you Haitian or something like that? And I was like, are you calling me out, bro, about being Haitian? Like, what's going on here? I didn't even know it was Roldy, man. Sock passe, man. Hope all is well, bro.
Big shout out to Zach. He's in the building. Caden Koger.
Oh, we got
How
a
about
Caden,
them?
Not a Kalen, but a Caden Koger. I like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Sonic the Hedgehog, too. How about them Cowboys? Appreciate you stopping by.
The Cowboys are not synonymous with Sonic the Hedgehog because the rings. There's been a problem there with you guys getting the rings, and Sonic gets the rings. So you might want to change that profile pic. Like, now I'm just playing. What up with you,
What's
Kaden?
crazy is the Giants seem to be like
garbage.
As bad as Washington is as a franchise, the Giants seem to have taken over the worst franchise in the division, right? But yet
the division?
In the league,
but yet
bro.
they
have the most recent success, the most success of any of the other teams in the division.
You could put the Eagles a little bit.
Yeah, they got
everybody.
one Super Bowl.
The
Giants got 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s. Washington and Dallas ain't been to the Super Bowl since VCRs was still around.
The 2000s started 21 years ago, man.
Well, listen, look. That's weird to me that somebody who's born in 2000 can drink alcohol.
You're right. Like, oh damn, hold up! I thought it was still like 2012 out here. Nope, 21 years ago.
Like, next year is gonna be my 20-year high school reunion. What have I done? Shout out to everybody in chat.
What have I done?
Miles is in the building. What's
Shout
going
out
on, Miles? Good to see you. Big Los is in the building. What up? What up?
What up, fam?
Who else we got? Edward Squires says, well, I middle initial do. Edward R. Squires. Yes, the middle initial works just as good as the third. I love it. I love it.
Hi, I'm here for the interview. I'm Edward R. Squires. You're hired. Come on. Put on a shirt.
Awesome. Big shout out to Roman, who's also in the building. Roman? Here they come. Resident Cowboy fans.
Them Cowboys, Monique in the
How
building.
about them Cowboys? I don't know. I got questions. Stephen White is in the building as well. Good to see you. Blue City Empire Sports. John Mara and David Gettleman are now getting exposed.
Yep, did read about those reports that came out today. Not sure how true a lot of that is, but yeah, man, there was some reports saying that there was some dispute about who the Giants wanted in 2018 outside of Saquon Barkley and Will Hernandez. I think it was like Quentin Nelson and can't remember who the other player was that they wanted, but it was two other players that they wanted in the scouting department. And there was another bit of news that leaked out about Dave Gettleman, and when he was in Denver, when he left, they threw a party for how bad he was, and they were very happy about his departure. So a lot of reports coming out about Dave Gettleman. I didn't focus on him too much because I'm just like, man, Dave Gettleman, he's gone. He's going to be out of here by the end of the year at the latest.
I think there might be another party in store.
Oh, there's going to be a big party all up and down the East Coast when they fire that man.
Big shout out to James Funk, always holding us down on YouTube. Says Fromm and Gilbert looked pretty good. Give him a shot. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about
Gilbert.
Yeah. So big shout out to BJ is in the building. Says congratulations, Cowboys fans. Cernox Connection is in the building. Our resident Houston Texans fan. Big shout out to Cernox for the $1.99 super sticker. It's a super sticker. That sticker is super, yeah. I just don't know
when we get them super stickers. I can just see it in your face. Like super stickers?
Yes. I get to sing my song. Big shout out to Matthew. Says good game, Beard. Thought y'all had those bird clowns, man. Yeah, I know.
Like it for about a good 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, well, a little bit longer than that.
Shout
out to Roldy for the $5 super chat. Says Awthentik. You only one that can make me listen because I respect your views. Bam-a-lamb.
Big shout out, man. Right back at you, Roldy. You already know, bro.
40 Luck is in the building as well. And big shout out to Big Los. Says, I'm listening while at work, and I heard you shout me out, and my brain crashed.
Shout out Big Los, man.
Brain crash part 2. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate everybody who's watching us right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Don't forget to hit those thumbs up while you guys are here. We definitely appreciate it. It's NFC East football breakdown time.
It is. And I'm glad I can see the numbers is up already to be this early in the show. Shout out to the Giants Nation that's still in the building, showing up each week, week in and week out for this garbage team. I don't like to use the word garbage when I talk about music or football players, but for this team, we could call this team garbage. No problems. You ready for this first game, Beard?
Yes, sir.
I'm not too ready for this first game. I'm gonna keep it real with you. You know, when you got to go out there and do research for your own team, it's very frustrating when you're like, I don't want to do this homework. I don't want to talk about the New York Giants anymore, but I got to because I got big love for the fam in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. But once again, the Dallas Cowboys defense led the way to a victory over the now 4-10 New York Giants. 4-10. Let that beat drop on time on y'all. The Cowboys are now the first team since 2007 to force at least 4 turnovers in 3 consecutive games in the same season. The Giants have now lost 10 or more games in 5 straight seasons, and it looks like it's going to cost some people their employment, especially in the front office. Shout out my man Edward Squires, you're hired. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have all but wrapped up the NFC East title and have won 3 straight games without their offense clicking on all cylinders. This game was not close, and not even as close as the score might indicate. The Cowboys never trailed, and the Giants never looked threatened at any point during the 4 quarters played on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. With key players still battling injuries and others stuck on the sidelines due to COVID-19 protocols, the Giants pretty much had no chance in this game and might as well have forfeited. With no hope left for the 2021 season, Giants fans are looking forward to free agency and next year's draft with question marks spreading across this roster like a virus, pun intended. The Giants have a record of 19 wins to 42 losses since Dave Gettleman arrived, and things have not looked much better for Joe Judge and the Giants offense after firing offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. The Cowboys are still finding ways to win ugly, and the lingering question is, can the Cowboys offense get it together before the playoffs? Beard, I'm going to start with you on that.
So before I answer that question, I gotta give a big shout out to Roldy for $5 super chat. Says the Beard, when you look at the Giants organization as a fan of another team, what is your views on this organization? I mean, welcome to the party. Listen, I'm a Washington football team fan. We have one of the most dysfunctional organizations over the last 2 decades in not just the National Football League, but in sports as a whole. You know, like there is so much stuff going around. So for me, it's not like as crazy. I think a lot of people will look at it, you know, especially Giants fans, because they're used to a certain level of success in recent history, more so than Washington. And Dallas just gets a pass because they're Dallas. They're America's team, you know. So it's, to me, I still think you guys are not in such a bad situation, considering what I've gone through as a Washington football team fan. Now, I do think that there is a lot of turmoil, and I think you have an opportunity to put a, you know, to not to necessarily put a Band-Aid on this, but you have an opportunity to fix this before it gets to a point where it was with Washington. So I just think that the next year to 3 years is going to be super important for the organization to decide where you're going to go, whether you're just going to do a complete overhaul rebuild, if you're going to try and patchwork some things. And I think you're going to have to, it's even higher up, it sounds like, you know, based upon what I've read and what I see, than just the general manager. So I think, you know, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens, but it's not as bad as it could be. I think I think people are noticing it earlier, and I think being in New York helps also because it's so much mainstream media, and it's like it's a bigger story, and it's harder to hide from bigger stories in big time markets like New York without having to fix it. So it just, hopefully you guys don't turn into the Knicks. That's about the. I mean, even the Knicks aren't so bad right now
than the Giants nowadays. Yeah, crazy.
But I mean, the Cowboys. Okay, so they're a interesting team. Okay, now for me, it's weird because if they can have a game, right, where both sides of the ball are clicking, like that could be scary, you know, because we haven't seen a consistent Cowboys team on both sides of the ball in weeks. We just haven't, you know, and I think it was good to see, for Cowboys fans, to see Pollard out there with the injury playing as well as he was. Excuse me. And so, you know, that's a good sign, obviously, you know, and I don't want to say Dak has struggled, because I mean, I think both of us would take a struggling Dak over our current quarterback situations right now. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that people are having this certain expectation of Dak Prescott, and he's not necessarily performing at that expectation.
Which is really interesting, because if you look at last season, people weren't high on Dak Prescott. Throughout his career, people have not been high on Dak Prescott. People fail to realize that he's even a top 10 quarterback, and
Which is crazy.
At times top 5. I mean, I thought, you know, after about week 5, week 6, Dak Prescott was looking like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. A lot of the stuff that's dysfunctional around him right now is not on him either, I don't think. You know, you got the offensive line injuries that are happening here with who's their left tackle again? I can't remember his name right
Smith.
now. Tyron Smith, you know, so I know that's hurting him. Ezekiel Elliott's been banged up. And the drops, man, these wide receivers and tight ends dropping passes left and right for Dak Prescott. And you can't get your rhythm going like that. And I also think I hate to be like, you know, the I told you so kind of thing, but like we kind of called this a little bit, because we said the Cowboys start the season with one of the more easier schedules in the NFC East. They got out to a great lead, and now they're kind of like back down to earth where we thought they would be. You know, this doesn't look as bad as the team that was out there last season with Andy Dalton at quarterback. This looks like what it should look like with Dak Prescott out there. And like you just said about taking these statistics from one of our quarterbacks, I mean, all damn day, 28 of 37 for 217 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that if Daniel Jones puts up those numbers, Giants fans are laughing to the bank.
And the thing is, too, is that with the Cowboys, when you talk playoffs, where are we looking at them in comparison to the upper echelon teams? Like,
I'm glad you said
Earlier in
that.
the season, you would think differently. But right now, they're the worst division leader in the NFC.
I don't know, man, because you got to think like let's pull this up real quick so we can at least see the squads too,
Shout out to
and
the
so
graphics
people can
department. I
have
saw
a
this.
a little spot here to check this out. So you got the Packers, Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals just took a loss to the Lions. Are we going to sit here and say that they're definitely a better team than the Cowboys? I don't think we could do that.
Maybe not definitely, but I would if you Cardinals and Cowboys head to head, I think I'd pick the Cardinals. But that probably would say, and the Bucks just got shut out by the Saints.
The Bucks got shut out by the Saints, and they have a loss to the Washington football team, who I've been saying for the past couple weeks, that's not a playoff team right now, right? Packers are really the only outright team right now that I put over the Cowboys, to be honest. All the other the three other teams, I put them in the same kind of a bubble.
Yeah.
And if you look back at what the Bucks did last season, they struggled going into the playoffs too.
Yeah, and they made the run.
It happens every season. And Colin Cowherd was talking about this on his show. I thought it was a fantastic point about how teams need to get hot. Look at the
right time.
the Kansas City Chiefs, man. When they won their Super Bowl, you remember that in December they were talking about, oh, this offense is falling flat. They're not looking like the same offense. And then they come out there and they do what they do. You know, it's all about making that run. Giants fans know all about it because we weren't some front-running Super Bowl team when we won our Super Bowls. We were a good team in 2011, but nobody was like, oh, they about to go out here and win a Super Bowl. So, I mean, I think the Cowboys, when you just look at the personnel and you look at the playmakers on their team, their offense can compete with the best of them. Cardinals especially. I think the Rams are a team that's not leading their division right now, but look like they could be a better team than the Cardinals, even though I think those two teams matched up early on in the year, and the Cardinals did beat the Rams, I believe. I might be mistaken on that.
I think they might have split their series, or they have one more game left, maybe. Well, we're gonna find out about that. That's what's really interesting too. Is we get Cowboys Cardinals here in 2 weeks,
in a
right?
couple weeks, yeah.
That's gonna be real. That's gonna be a really interesting game to see how they match up. Now, if I had to pick another team outside of, excuse me, the division winners or leaders, I think San Francisco, I think, is a team that might give Dallas problems. Now, because San Francisco can run the ball, and
49ers can give anybody problems in that whole NFC conference. The way that Shanahan figures out how to run the ball with anybody, I would love him as our coach for that simple fact. Because you need running game to be able to beat people when it gets colder out here. And the 49ers, man, if you remember the run when they had Garoppolo and they went to the Super Bowl, they did that a lot on the back of Raheem Mostert. You know, what's he doing now? Has he been out for the whole season?
Yeah.
You know, it's Shanahan just figures out ways to run the ball. They remind me eerily of the NFC version of the Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers, because it's not like outstanding quarterback play. They just rely on a stable of running backs, big hog mollies up front, and good defense.
And they have two amazing playmakers in George Kittle and Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Like that's a game changer to have those type of players on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's huge for a quarterback, to have George Kittle as like your tight end, or any tight end of that caliber. Speaking of tight ends, am I the only person that had a Jeremy Sprinkle sighting for the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, no, I got him in the Nuggets. I got him. Yeah, I was like, okay, what? 2 catches, 21 yards, Jeremy Sprinkle. He had the drop issues when he was in Washington.
Yeah. Big time drop issues here in Washington. I was surprised to see him. I mean,
catches.
Schultz though is a guy for the Cowboys too. I think he's somebody who, you got to keep your eye on. I love what CeeDee Lamb has done this year. We've been high on CeeDee Lamb, not just this year, but
he's the main one. He's the main one because he had 3 drops in that game. 6 catches for 50 yards, but them 3 drops, you got to clean that up. And one of them was that crossing route where he was kind of in between layers of coverage. He's pretty much wide open. With CeeDee Lamb, I just think that he's such an explosive player that he's so ready to get going and get running that it's a focus thing with him.
Yeah.
He's just taking his eye off the ball for a quick second. And when you do that, especially at the highest caliber of football, it's an easy way to drop passes, man, because the speed of the game is so much faster. So it's like you almost don't want to fault receivers for that. But at the end of the day, you're a professional. They're paying you the big bucks. They're paying you to be able to make those quick decisions and still make the catch. This isn't no low level of football. This is the NFL here.
So let me ask you, moving on into the Giants side of this matchup a little bit.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, I mean, first of all, that catch
The catch was crazy.
that catch. I mean, that's like a video game glitch catch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like to me, I think maybe, and this is probably a different perspective than most people, obviously, but I feel like not necessarily statistic wise, but just the way that he looks playing the game has improved the last couple of weeks.
I don't
More
know, man,
so.
because to me it still seems like his most healthy game was against the Saints.
hmm
It's where you
That's
saw him doing his cuts, and he just seemed like he was playing, and he had faith in the knee.
that was the game when he got hurt, though, right? That was when
No, he got hurt
his
against the
ankle.
Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys. That's right.
Yeah, and you might want to reset real quick, but the problem with Saquon Barkley is once he got that ankle injury, against the Dallas Cowboys, now that's a big setback. You've played on a rolled ankle before, and you know what that can do to you, man. If you're not 100% after you've sprained an ankle, you don't give it that 100% confidence when you're cutting on it. Everything is a little bit ginger. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he's kind of getting back to maybe where he was before the Saints game. But it's clear Saquon Barkley is not at 100%, man. And as he shouldn't be. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
not.
weird, man. Like the Giants, and I kind of fell for this too a little bit. But the Giants organization had so much faith in Saquon Barkley that it gave the fans that same kind of faith as if he was just going to come back and not miss a beat. He's not Adrian Peterson. There's not many running backs that can tear their knee like that. And the thing about Adrian Peterson, too, is Adrian Peterson had that jump cut. He was really good at the jump cut, right? But outside of that, he wasn't the kind of guy that was doing these kind of pirouette-style cuts like a guy like Saquon Barkley. Peterson was more of a straightforward runner, run you over, but also had a little bit of juke. So it doesn't hurt his game as much, I feel like, as a guy like Saquon Barkley, who he needs that elusive skill set to be able to do what he does. And in this game, it surprised me that the Giants didn't run the ball more in this game, especially when you got a backup quarterback out there, Mike Glennon, who, he struggled extremely in this particular game. He just struggled all day long, had the 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. He only threw for 99 yards. And I know Giants fans like that spark when they saw Jake Fromm come off the bench because for me, man, half of it at quarterback is just how decisive you are. And Jake Fromm was decisive when he dropped back and he hit the plant foot to throw the ball. You feel confident like somebody's going to catch that. I used to talk about this with Eli Manning, right? Like when Eli Manning would throw deep, especially when we had Odell Beckham, I knew if it was going to be caught or not before the ball was released because of the body demeanor that Eli Manning was giving you before throwing the ball. Just all confidence when he would step up and make the throw. When you see Daniel Jones in the pocket, you don't see that. You really don't. You just don't see that. And with Mike Glennon, you really ain't seeing that. I mean, Mike Glennon he probably doesn't even deserve to be a second stringer in the NFL. He probably should be a third stringer. And then you see Fromm come off the bench. Yeah, he was 50%. That's not good, 6 for 12. But he damn near had the same amount of yards in a half a quarter that Mike Glennon had in the whole game. And you just saw decisive. You saw him throwing the ball hard.
One
I
drive.
like seeing that.
It was one
two
drive.
Drives. Was it one drive?
It two? I thought it was just one.
I thought
one
it was
drive.
2 drives. And
I
watching
thought it was
Diggy's
just one
video,
drive.
Diggy said it was 2 drives. But I might be wrong.
Because that one drive that when he came in, they started out on like their own like 5 or 10 yard line, and he drove them all the way down the field, which was insane. Listen, you know what it reminds me of? I mean, I'm gonna get to these super chats as soon as I plant this seed really fast. This reminded me, the Mike Glennon, Jake Fromm situation, of Washington blundering it with going with Mark Sanchez instead of Josh Johnson. Like,
it wasn't as apparent. It wasn't as apparent because
so
we were
I
at that
feel
game,
like,
remember?
I feel like because Mike Glennon has been in the league for so long, and because Mike Glennon is a backup quarterback, that he's automatically going to be given the chance before somebody like, say, Jake Fromm. And obviously Fromm had to come in.
As he should. Listen, Mike Glennon was there throughout the whole camp, bro. You can't just bring in a guy off 10 to 14 days and go, here. You just can't do that. So if Giants fans that, were begging for Fromm to get the start last week, this week, it's just too early. And, you guys did a pretty decent job of it with your backup quarterback coming in off, I don't know how many days y'all had, 8, 9 days or something like that for this kid. He comes out there and he didn't even turn the ball over.
Who, Gilbert was 5 days.
5 days, yes, so whatever it was. But that's not a winning formula in the NFL by any means to go, oh, this kid just looks like he's got the hotter arm. Let's throw him in the game, even though he doesn't know the plays. He doesn't know where to get people in position. But that's what I was impressed by with Fromm is that they gave him the time to learn the system a bit. And he ran a 2-minute drill there at the end of the game. And it looked pretty decent. The kid was running the team up and down, but it wasn't like it wasn't nothing that made me go, oh, we solved our quarterback issues or nothing crazy.
Oh,
like
no,
that.
absolutely not. But I think
it wasn't
he
that
deserves
impressive
to start.
because he didn't score. He didn't score. He obviously deserves to start because, look, we're working with scraps here with Mike Glennon, and Mike Glennon's coming off his worst game as a starter for the Giants. He did have the game with 3 touchdowns. Now you got a game with no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That looks really bad.
Under 100 yards passing, too.
Yeah, and under 100 yards passing, which that don't surprise me because that's philosophy, man. That's scheme. We had the game with Daniel Jones early on in the year where he threw for like 120 yards. You had the game last year with Colt McCoy where we beat the Seahawks on 105 yards passing.
Yeah. Big shout out to Big Los for the $10 super sticker. It's a super sticker. Super sticker. That sticker's super, yeah. Big shout out to Big Los.
Big shout out Big Los one time in the building, man.
Big shout out to Benjamin Wynn for the $10 super chat. I'm not a believer in the fraudulals come playoff time. They'll get bounced in the first round. Tana dreaming about Hogs is mad sus. I want my team to win, but Jesus, I ain't dreaming about
I think he's the second person to say this to me about Tainer having dreams about Hogs, man. Desperate for offensive line play, man. Benjamin, definitely appreciate you pulling up, man, and appreciate the the $10 super chat here. And the super sticker from the homie before. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets out here. Okay.
Big shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets for the $4.99 super chat. Says David Gettleman failed. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley needs another running back. I mean, that is a authentic T-shirt.
Present. Present. Yeah, I'm here. I've been saying that. They thought I was crazy for saying that, but I just felt that way the whole year. We're transitioning into a longer season with the 17 games, which now, remember how much I told you how much emphasis that puts on the backup quarterback being that we add another game? And I even went as far as to say you might want to be able to split time with quarterbacks if you had the right guys on your roster. We're talking 17 whole games now. The running back position is even worse than that. I can't remember what stream it was, but we were going over every running back that's hurt, that has gotten hurt in the NFL this season, and it was damn near every team.
Every team.
GMs, head coaches, you're going to need at least 2 good running backs on your team. And the successful teams that really run the ball proper, like the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots, they got about 4 running backs on their team. And the Eagles didn't even have to get a ball to Boston Scott or Kenneth Gainwell in this past game, but that's what you can do when you have a stable of running backs. You can go with the hot hand. You can see who's running better on a certain day. There are certain days Jordan Howard looks better than Miles Sanders, and that wasn't the case on Tuesday night.
Duke Johnson for the Miami Dolphins had his best game of his career this weekend. He went like 150-plus yards and 2 touchdowns.
And
out of nowhere.
So they got Myles Gaskin. They got
Duke
Ahmed,
Johnson, Salvon Ahmed. They got Patrick Laird, Philip Lindsay.
I don't like them as the prototype for a running team because they really don't got the one guy. I like Dallas a lot too because they got a guy like Ezekiel Elliott who plays a role. Yeah, it might look a little bit overpaid right now, but he plays a role like Brandon Jacobs does. He gets you all the tough yards, right? And then you got Pollard coming off the bench.
In rushing.
Zeke
is tied with Antonio Gibson for 7th in the league in rushing yards.
That's solid. When you're getting paid that bag, he should be higher. So I will agree with people on that.
For sure.
But as a tandem in the backfield, I really like what they're doing over there. Cleveland Browns, same exact thing. And it really helps when you got a quarterback who can run the ball too, because then you get that triple threat, man, and that really opens up the running game. You saw that in the Eagles game. But the Giants offense, man, it's just I'm surprised they didn't run the rock more. Barkley and Booker combined for half the yards that the Giants had on the day. They had 156 yards in the passing game and on the ground, and the Giants only had 302 total yards. Booker was averaging 9.2 yards a carry. So
that one drive they ran the ball 8 times. That was like a perfect drive. And they get down to the red zone, and it was a 3rd and 2, and
And
they
go
passed the
pass.
ball
Mhm.
incomplete, and then they got settled for the field goal.
Yeah. And you know, I'm watching the game well. Booker had some big runs. You just got to hammer on that run a little bit more like that. This isn't like it's being shut out. We'll get to the running game being shut out with y'all for sure, but like this isn't like being shut out. This is like you're getting decent yards per carry. I think you should just commit to the run more, especially when you got a backup quarterback in there to make things a little bit more easier. And just to kind of cap off the Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm thing, I'll tell you another reason why Mike Glennon was the starter is because Mike Glennon is known to have a big arm. Something went wrong because every time Mike Glennon throws deep, he ends up throwing the ball short. He has not overthrown his receivers all year long. I'll give you one overthrow he had, which was the one to Evan Ingram last game. It was the post corner out that he sailed it and it went over, and then Evan Ingram tried to like turn twice, 3 times, couldn't get his hips turned around, and he missed it. But outside of that, he's not overthrowing wide receivers. So he was supposed to be known to have a big arm. Doesn't have a big arm, which is surprising to me. I mean, he's a big kid, man. The dude's like 6'6", tall kid. You would think he'd be able to sling the ball. And I just think that like the Cowboys are just a better team. They're just a better team than the New York Giants. They're separating themselves as far as being that front runner in the NFC East. And I was kind of talking about this like last week, 2 weeks ago, saying that like they pretty much got this wrapped up, man. It's like this. There's not much other teams are going to be able to do because they don't have the firepower. Now, Dak Prescott, I want to get back to his struggles that we're talking about quarterback for a little bit. He's been sacked 14 times in the last 5 games, 3 times against the Giants. You got to find a way to keep him upright. The Cowboys were 2 of 5 in the red zone, 8 of 14, though, on 3rd down with plenty of drops. 2 of the drops came on 3rd down. They're still managing to go 8 of 14 on 3rd down, and Dak Prescott numbers still look fairly decent in a game where Amari Cooper was a non-factor. 2 catches for 8 yards, and CeeDee Lamb, that's a struggle game for CeeDee Lamb with 6 catches for 50. He should have more than that, and the big drop he had was a 25-yard pass that he dropped right in the breadbasket. So if
And
they could just
turned the ball
clean up.
over, right? How many turnovers did they have? Was it one, just a fumble, or did they have 2 turnovers? I think they only had 1 turnover.
I think they only had 1 turnover.
Which was a big one, and I almost said the Giants turned around and threw an interception from from on the Dallas like 30-yard line. Like that was a big thing for the Giants was the turnovers. Dallas had 15 points off of Giant turnovers. They only scored 21 points in the game. 15 of them came off of turnovers.
And the Cowboys never had to press, man. And I said this on a post from Bobby Skinner. You look at that play before the half, when the half closed out, there was about 11 seconds left on the clock right when their second down play was finished. They have a timeout in the bag. Any team is going to call the timeout there. It reminded me of that play early on in the season with Jalen Hurts with the Philadelphia Eagles where they called the timeout. They go to the sideline, they talk about it, and then Jalen Hurts scrambles and wastes the 8 seconds and then throws an interception, and you walk away without even getting the 3 points. Now, Mike McCarthy came out, and people were trying to clown him. He said we have different situations there that we go over. There's an O zone that he called it when you get closer, when you're within the 5-yard line. And he said at that point they just committed to the field goal to guarantee the points and just keep things nice and tight or whatever. But it's like, what would it hurt you to call the timeout and think about it? Dak Prescott is signaling like this with about 8 seconds left. If you get it down to about 5, you could still take a shot at the end zone. But I just think that the Cowboys were never threatened by the Giants, so they just didn't care about it. You go into the half, you got a nice lead, you take that field goal. It's nothing for them to be able to do that. You said the 15 points were scored off of turnovers. Most of those points were from DeMarcus Lawrence's plays that he was making on defense. The strip sack. He had the other play that ended up in an interception when he got pressure on the quarterback. The Cowboys defense, this is team football. When your offense is not 1,000% clicking and things aren't on all cylinders, you find ways to win. And Dak Prescott has now resorted back to what he looked like more when he was a rookie or a new quarterback in this league, where it's Dink and Dak all day long now. They're not throwing the ball down the field like they did the first 5-6 weeks of the season. And Dallas is showing you that they can win sloppy games against poor teams. But can they do that when they start to play these better teams is going to be the question. I think their defense has enough firepower to be able to do it. I mean, Trayvon Diggs out here just balling. 10 interceptions. He got another one in this game. He's only got 5 games where he hasn't had an interception in the game.
He probably has more interceptions himself than more than a
A bunch
handful
of
of
teams.
teams,
A
right?
bunch of teams. I bet a bunch of teams. I know. Well, the Giants did have that streak of a bunch of takeaways.
Yeah,
We had a streak of
they
13
did.
takeaways, so we were up there. But to have two players on your defense like that, and I know a lot of Giants fans were like, "Oh, Michael Parsons, he doesn't look like Lawrence Taylor now." Like, you got to be realistic here, okay? Players aren't going to have fantastic games every game, and I'm not sitting here
Yeah.
telling you that Michael Parsons is Lawrence Taylor, but like, does that make you feel better about the L? Because it's
No,
obvious that the
shouldn't.
Giants were trying to game plan going up against Michael Parsons. We got to stop that guy. I mean, if I'm the offense, I'm going to go, whatever we do, make sure that guy does not disrupt our offense. We'll worry about everybody second. Randy Gregory probably being second, and he also had a pretty quiet game here. But you did see Michael Parsons in coverage. He lined up at cornerback in this game, and the Giants tried to run a tricky little wheel route from the slot and a slant route with Devontae Booker lined up as the outside wide receiver. Michael Parsons didn't even fall for that slant, man. He stayed on the wheel route to the outside, made a fantastic play that you could maybe argue might have been pass interference, but coming from a linebacker like that,
His versatility is absolutely insane.
It's
He can
insane.
play almost everywhere on the defense.
and that's what I love about him is that he's, his quote when people were talking about the Lawrence Taylor stuff, he said, man, Lawrence Taylor's a fantastic player, but I want people to say, you play like Michael Parsons. You rush the passer like Michael Parsons. That's what you want to expect out of a young guy like that you expect to be a leader sooner or later in that locker room, and probably already is a leader. That he's developing a play style that other people need to maybe start emulating now. And I know he might not be a guy that's going to change the game like Lawrence Taylor, but like, yo, Giants fans that are on Twitter saying like, see, like, that's not the vibe, bro. That's just we cannot hang our hats and feel better about something like that. That doesn't mean anything. It really does not mean anything.
You know what people say to that? They say scoreboard.
Yeah, straight up.
They say
because it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't.
Standings.
And I see that. I get it because we're so bad right now that Giants fans are just looking for some type of moral victory, week in and week out from this team. But it's done. This is. I'm telling y'all. People was arguing when I said this. I'm 38 years old, okay? This is the worst Giants football that I have seen. You can say what you want about 2017. I broke down that roster last show. That roster is better than this roster by far. Way better front. Offensive line was even better. Way better talent at the wide receiver position. The running back, Orleans Darkwood, is pretty much what Devontae Booker is now. Two tough runners, but then you got Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley's not healthy, and he's not playing like he's healthy, even when he is quote-unquote healthy. Defensively, you look at that secondary, we had Jack Rabbit. You had, I forget who was at the other corner. It was Jack Rabbit and, I'm not going to remember who was at the other corner. Linebacker core, you had Casillas out there. You had some decent players. JPP on the line, Snacks, Dalvin Tomlinson. You had Olivier Vernon. These guys were better than this team that's being fielded here now in 2021. And the coaching is so bad. Yeah, we were dealing with Ben McAdoo in 2017, but the injuries really derailed his season. He was 2-10 and they fired him, which is more reason why I feel like the Giants need to go ahead and just pull the plug on Joe Judge, because these press conferences are just getting ridiculous, man. They're getting so redundant and so ridiculous. It's just like, I can't even watch them no more.
Listen, they're like, I must have missed the exact story, and I caught the back end remnants of it. Was the I found my Bill Belichick story?
Oh yeah.
That's got to be smoke, right? Smoke.
I mean, he said it. He said it. I feel like I found my baby Bill Belichick. And I talked to you about this last podcast. I mean, what was Tom Coughlin? Just nothing. Regular coach, Ben McAdoo, Tom Coughlin, same thing. Like, is that how we going now?
The more and more I think about it, like, this is usually what happens when somebody's getting fired, because they don't want anybody to know that they're gonna. Well, they're just basically playing nice before they.
Joe Judge even detached himself last week from Daniel Jones, and he said, "I just coach the players." That screams to me that you don't want accountability for the players that are being brought in.
Listen, they all gotta go. They all gotta go.
Yeah,
like,
they should.
Because
they really
listen,
should. And a lot of Giants fans think that the Giants shouldn't be in the quarterback market. You crazy if you think it's not a good move to bring in Russell Wilson. You must be settled on wanting to lose games for a few more years if you don't want to address the quarterback position in New York. I don't care what it is you do. But if you think that we don't need to address the quarterback position in New York, you're wilding right now.
There's only four. There's only probably 4 teams in the National Football League that shouldn't be in the quarterback market. Every single team.
Only 4 teams? Nah, it's more than that. Come on.
I mean,
you undercut that one a little bit. 4?
Buffalo,
Dallas, Packers, Chiefs, Chargers. That's 5 right there.
Okay. Well,
come on, man.
I was excited.
And when we get to y'all game, I'm gonna talk about another one that you could say is right on the cusp of the Eagles don't need a quarterback.
Well, yeah. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is I used a bad number I used. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is
I'm like, wait a minute here.
Is that teams are always looking to get better. Like if you're not looking to get better and you're not the best, you're not doing your job the right way.
For sure. But there are people that have to solidify a position at the quarterback. You know,
Arizona, Tampa Bay. Okay, there's more than 4.
There might be 4 teams that actually need to address the quarterback position. You know, the Jets, Wilson is not looking like the guy. I know it's only 1 year, but he hasn't shown you a flash of greatness since he's been there. You know? Who else needs a quarterback? Maybe the Broncos could address the quarterback position. I think the Raiders have their quarterback. Whether or not they're going to keep Derek Carr over there, I don't know.
Washington, they need a quarterback. Chicago's going to run with Fields. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins.
Let me speak on that Fields thing real quick.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they traded up with us to then land on Justin Fields and to now have it where we got a better draft pick than them by 1 pick. And they traded up with us and gave us that capital to go get Justin Fields, who don't look like a guy. I'm not saying he look like garbage or nothing, but not looking like a guy right now.
I mean, they better hope he is, or else it's going to be a long next few years in Chicago. Big shout out to Benjamin Wynn for the $9.99 super chat. Says all the evil geniuses in Washington, and the best they can come up with is the Washington football team. What's your Super Bowl picks? Rodgers or Brady for MVP? Beating the Seahawks was great. Beat Vikings. Rams fan.
I'm slowly but surely starting to root for them Rams too, bro.
Hey,
big Odell fan, and
they were one of my Super Bowl picks in the beginning of the year. So my Super Bowl picks right now, that's difficult. I think the Chiefs are gonna find a way to get out of that AFC. I really do. I think the one team that I think would be surprising. I know everybody was on the Patriots bandwagon as a Super Bowl team. Depending on how the next few weeks go out, if the Colts make the playoffs, I think they can be a problem for the Chiefs in the AFC. I don't know what it is about that team, but I like the Colts a lot as a surprise team in the AFC. I was high on the Ravens, but the last 2 weeks they've just basically thrown their season away in a sense. But I think the Chiefs find a way to get out of the AFC. NFC, dark horse is San Francisco for me. And I really, really like I really like Green Bay. But I mean, that Arizona Rams, one of those two, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers, we talked about this and we kind of like not talked about it recently because of how up and down it's been. Any one of those 3 teams can win the Super Bowl. I mean, go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Any team that makes it into the playoffs can get to the Super Bowl, because even right now with the Vikings sitting at 7, when they're playing well, they can beat a lot of teams. Yeah. But then they play down to their competition.
MVP, if I had to go between,
wait, who'd you pick? You named a lot of teams for the NFC. Yeah. Who'd you pick?
I think I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to the
Okay.
Green Bay Packers. And MVP, I'm a Jonathan Taylor for MVP guy. That's who I'm rooting for. But if I had to choose between Rodgers or Brady, I mean, what Tom Brady's doing at his age is absolutely insane. But he has what we'll see if what Brady can do these next couple of weeks will really determine it for me because now he does not going to have Leonard Fournette. He's not going to have Chris Godwin. But if I had to choose between Rodgers or Brady right this second, I think I would take Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, MVP. I'm going Aaron Rodgers for sure. Super Bowl. I'm gonna go Aaron Rodgers to represent the NFC with the Packers, and I'm gonna go to Chiefs in the AFC. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are gonna make the run.
Yeah, I just they got a tough game this week though, don't they?
Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs have a tough game this week. I can't remember exactly who, but I think they got a tough game. But yeah, I mean, I can see the Rams making noise.
Chiefs
I
got
love
the
that
Steelers on
squad.
Sunday.
Chiefs Steelers. That's gonna be a good game. Speaking of Chiefs, shout out to the homie Anthony Bluegrass Picker. Appreciate you
Steelers
stopping by,
still in
buddy.
the mix too. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, a little early MVP talk, little Super Bowl pick right there. I mean, I think those are. I like the Patriots as a matchup, but I just don't think they'll be able to string it together for like 2 or 3 games. They might see themselves get out the first round though. Um, and same thing for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys can get out the first round this year.
Dude, what's interesting about the Patriots is the Patriots are one game away from. They were in the number 1 seed going into this week. Now they're one loss away from falling completely out of the playoffs.
The Patriots.
The Patriots.
Yeah, because they sitting on 9. They're 9-5 now, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Either 9-5 or 8-6.
I thought they got the 9 wins. It's interesting that they can fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah. They're one game ahead of everybody who has I think they are 9-5 and everybody else is 8-6 behind them.
The Dolphins 7-7. Bills 8-6. Chargers 8-6. And Ravens 8-6. So yeah, there's probably a tiebreaker there if they lose and all those teams win. I don't see that happen. Bill Belichick, he's on point this year.
Who the Patriots got this week? They got a tough game too. Every game is tough now at this point in the season.
Patriots. Let's see who they play.
I want to say Browns maybe or
off,
Bills.
They
Bills,
yeah. Which they already beat them once.
They did, but that was a very weird game.
Yeah, was that the weather was crazy in that one, right?
Yeah, that was the Mac Jones 2 for 3 game.
Yeah, that's Bill Belichick right there, man, doing his thing for you. It's definitely a tight race in the AFC for sure, and in the NFC, man. You know, lot of teams in the mix, man. The Saints is still there. You never know what they could do. I mean, they're struggling with the quarterback situation, but you never know what they could really do. It's unfortunate that the Giants are ruled just out of the playoffs so early. I know you talking that whole mathematical thing earlier, 29 or the whatevers. It ain't happening, bro. Okay. And Joe Judge right now has a 1-2 ratio as far as wins to losses as the Giants coach. He's 10 wins, 20 losses. It's time to go. And we didn't talk about this too much too, but Daniel Jones ruled out for the rest of the year with the neck injury. And I tweeted this exactly a month ago. I said, I'm not going to rule out the possibility that the Giants could have the worst quarterback situation in the whole NFC East. Where do you think the Giants stand right now?
I'd say they're neck and neck with Washington for sure. I mean, I think Taylor Heineke, Daniel Jones, you know, I think we're all in agreement that neither one of them are our I'm not going to use it. Are the future of the franchise quarterback. I'm done saying franchise quarterback. I'm over it.
No, you're not.
But I think that they're not like you're not going to kick them to the curb because you don't really have any other options. I think that both teams go into the offseason looking to upgrade at that position. I think both teams will grab a quarterback in the draft. Really? I don't think either one of them will draft a quarterback first.
I don't think you're right about that. I don't think both these teams are going to get a quarterback. I think y'all got a better shot at drafting a quarterback than we do. I hope we draft a quarterback, but I don't think the Giants are going to do that.
But I don't think we draft a quarterback with the first round pick. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are that.
No, I don't like that. I hate that. I feel like people riding that bandwagon too hard. Ain't no quarterbacks coming out of this class.
Well, I mean, listen, I didn't say that, but I'm just saying.
I'm saying that's
like,
what people are saying. You know,
oh
like,
yeah.
You know, I don't want to spend any draft picks on first round quarterbacks because there's no quarterbacks coming out this year. That's what a lot of people are saying. I'm just like,
you
never know. You really never know which one of these quarterbacks is going to hit. You
have no idea. Hey, listen, because now look, I'm always higher on quarterbacks that nobody else really talks about and nobody else really likes. Like I like the Cincinnati quarterback. I know he's not the first round prospect that everybody else is, but I like him as a quarterback, as a play. See, for me, I need my quarterback to be a football player.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
And I think the kid Ritter out of Cincinnati is a football player. He's a winner. Like that. He's a different breed. I think Pickett out of Pitt is similar to that. I'm not.
Did you see Malik Willis in that bowl game? Did you see that 50-yard throw?
I didn't watch the Liberty Bowl.
It was crazy, and I haven't watched a lot of Malik Willis, but that throw, that boy can play. Rolling to his opposite side, he threw that thing 50 yards in the air, strike, and they did their thing in that bowl game. I mean, I know it's a small school, and I also like the kid Pickett out of Pittsburgh. I mean, he looks the most to me like a quarterback.
I think he's got the skill set. My only issue with Malik Willis is I think he's a project to a certain extent. Obviously, I think
that's another cliche running around right now too.
That Malik Willis is a project.
That's what they said about Jalen Hurts. He's 17 games in now.
I never. I obviously some people did, but I knew Jalen Hurts wasn't a project. I thought Trey Lance was a project.
With you. I think that Jalen Hurts is still a project. I just think Nick Sirianni is slept on, and he's actually figured it out over there how to win games with a quarterback that is underdeveloped.
So what do we think a project quarterback is? Somebody who's not going to reach their full potential until year 3 and maybe doesn't start year 1? Is that what
a guy who doesn't have the intangibles to come into the league and do it immediately?
That's a project, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think Malik Willis is. I think Malik Willis reminds me a lot of Trey Lance, and you know that I thought Trey Lance was the best quarterback of all the quarterbacks in last year's draft.
Yeah. Now I couldn't agree with you on that because when I saw him play, it all of it looks slow. And if it all looks slow on the college level, I worry about that on the pro level.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're not reading things, and that's what I like about the kid Pickett. Like you just see from the highlights I saw. I haven't watched I want to watch the games in entirety, but from what I'm seeing from him, he's decisive. To me, that's the number one trait.
And he's a senior. That's
a good thing too.
I think a lot of that has to do with that. When you're playing football at that level for 4 years, you're more ready coming into the league with progressions and understanding defenses and audibling at the line. Then you'll see if the skill set
is actually there as well. But I think you're being a little. When I asked you the initial question about the tweet that I brought up and where the Giants stand as far as the quarterback situation goes, I think you're a little bit biased to kind of not really mess with Taylor Heineke because to me, y'all have a better quarterback situation than us because moving into the 2022 season, it's proven right now with the Washington football team, if you have a running game behind Taylor Heineke, he can win you games. With Daniel Jones in New York, there is no proven method at all yet. And to me, if you don't have a reliable running game, then you need a franchise quarterback.
So let me ask you this though: doesn't that say more about where the Giants are as far as the state of coaching staff as opposed to the quarterback play?
It says a bit about both. Situation? That's why let me say it again. If you don't have a reliable running game, you better have a franchise quarterback. You need a guy who's going to go out there and really get it done. The Giants have not proven to have a running game. They don't have the offensive line. They don't have even a middle tier to top tier running back. You guys have that. When Antonio Gibson is healthy and, now McKissick is on IR, when he's healthy, you can win games behind Taylor Heineke. And we're talking about when your defense completely underperformed for about the first 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
and now kind of starting to get it back together. That's the big difference to me between Washington and New York. It doesn't say more about the coaching. Granted, the coaching in New York is awful, and you guys have decent coaching. Ron Rivera is doing his thing over there. But the roster in New York, in Washington, is built better than the roster in New York. You guys have a team that can actually win games out there. And here's the thing is when you go to upgrade to go into next season, for me, I would maybe look at the tight end position and maybe look to bring in another offensive weapon before I try to look at the quarterback position, because that, to me, it's obvious that y'all lack another weapon. We thought Samuels would be it, but he's not it. And I talked to you about this on last week when we were doing previews on Thursday about how Ricky Seals-Jones is not that drastic of a drop-off from Logan Thomas, but that's because they're both kind of average. They're not like those real deal playmakers at the tight end position.
They're not the Kittles, the Mark Andrews,
the Goddard,
like those type of guys.
Right.
You know,
they're not those guys. They're not those guys.
I mean, listen, Goddard, think about it like this. The Eagles got rid of Zach Ertz, who's done well in Arizona since being there. They get a draft pick on that, and they don't even have to worry about fixing that position. They literally had the guy
at all
already.
And I'll keep it real with you. I will pull Bill Belichick if I was Philadelphia right now, and I'll go get me another tight end. I try to find me a young boy who can block.
And they got one, but he got hurt in the game last night.
And that, somebody that can really be a pass-catching threat, and pair them and do what the Patriots are doing over there, because they're probably the only team that's doing it without a true 1A wide receiver. With Kendrick Bourne and N'Keal Harry, who's always hurt, and Aguilar, who's just, he's just an average.
What's his name? Jacoby Myers?
And Jacoby Myers, who I actually put him above everybody but Kendrick Bourne. I like Jacoby Myers. He can do some things in the passing game.
Big shout out to Lax Ofofo for the $4.99 super chat. Says, at this point, I'd rather the Giants try to trade for Wilson or Derek Carr than draft another project quarterback in the first round this year.
It's a good point. It's a good point, Lax. I would say
I think that both Giants and Washington are in this position where I think you get your starter from a veteran, or not necessarily veteran, but a non-rookie quarterback, and you address other positions of need in the draft. And for Washington, we really need another weapon. But the thing is like with the weapons for Washington, it doesn't matter if we get the weapons if the quarterback can't get the ball to the guys down the field. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds good in theory, but Taylor Heineke has proven he can throw the ball when he has a running game.
But not down the field.
I mean, what is down the field? You know a long throw in the NFL now when they be like his long 20 and over.
Yeah, that's a struggle. That's a struggle area for Taylor Heineke.
I don't know. I'd say when he deep down the field is where he's got some issues. But y'all also aren't that team. Who's the wide receiver for y'all that stretches the defense like that? It's not Terry McLaurin.
Well, I mean, you saw it last night. There was two instances where Terry McLaurin, if he has a quarterback who can get the ball in front of him, he scores a touchdown. I mean, we scored a touchdown on that drive anyway, so it doesn't really matter in hindsight. Right. But I mean, he had to so many times. Terry McLaurin's big plays are him having to literally come back and catch a ball over a contested ball. Like he never gets an opportunity to catch a ball in stride. He
doesn't strike me as a down the field threat, though. He's more of a possession guy who has those capabilities, but I like him more in the middle of the field and operating 20 and under, to be honest.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I agree with that, but I think that's what's crazy is that there's an untapped side to Terry McLaurin that we haven't seen since he's been in the league, because he hasn't had the opportunity to show anybody that side of him, which is, I think once that happens, he could really catapult himself into even further up in the upper echelon of wide receivers in the National Football League.
I think he makes a good, decent amount of plays down the field. He's a great contested catcher. Definitely like what Terry McLaurin brings to the table. I wanted to answer that question a little bit more in depth. Can you pull it back up one more time? I don't got it on my screen.
I got it.
Trade for Wilson or Derek Carr. That's where we were going with that one. So the other thing about Washington, y'all don't have the capital to trade for one of these guys.
What do you mean?
What would you trade right now to get Russell Wilson?
Well, I mean, maybe not these particular guys, but a guy. I think Derek Carr is a free agent, though, isn't he?
Derek Carr is going to be a free agent, so you're going to need some good money or match the offer if they give
Yeah,
him an
we're
offer
great.
too.
We're great cap wise. We're good. We're good. We got tons
Yeah,
of
but
money.
for a guy like Wilson, that's why I was saying Wilson. You can't bring in a guy
for Wilson,
like that.
what will we
Washington,
trade? We
yeah.
would be able to trade a defensive player for sure, one of our top tier defensive players, and
a
we'd
Montez
probably
Sweat
have to
and
give
2
up a
picks?
first round. What's that?
Like a Montez Sweat and 2 first-rounders or something?
Yeah, maybe like a Deron Payne
happening.
and a first round or something like that.
Because Seattle's going to be in rebuild mode if they trade their quarterback.
Yeah, but they want to rebuild defensively too.
Yeah, I don't see that happening for y'all. I barely see it happening for New York, to be honest.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to come here anyway. So, like, the Wilson dream is over for Washington fans. He doesn't want to play here. He wants to play in New York.
People do
apparently.
say that, and they're for the same argument that people say Russell Wilson wants to play in New York. People are like, why the hell would he want to come to New York? It's very dysfunctional. But what I was going to say about this is, I would trade a good bit of stock for Russell Wilson, but I wouldn't do it for Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a solid quarterback, right? But he's not going to be able to overcome the amount of dysfunction that's happening in New York right now. Let alone what's happening with the Raiders right now. He's barely overcoming that. And they're not looking like they're going to be a playoff team either. It looks like it's going to be another year of them folding. Right around this time, right around December, because they were a good team going into December last year too, and the same thing happened. They folded. So for me, I would much rather bring in a guy like Russell Wilson over Derek Carr, because I think with Derek Carr's skill set is very similar to a Daniel Jones, but it's just more polished. It's just better. Whereas Russell Wilson can overcome some of these deficiencies that our whole offense has, which number one is that offensive line, and then adding a guy who's a little bit more elusive, where, you don't got to like run RPO with Russell Wilson per se, but he can get you some of those sneaky yards and pick up first downs that the Giants would need. It's not going to make us no contender right away, but then you could use the rest of your draft capital to go out there in the draft and try to still build that offensive line. I think Giants fans are under the impression that both of these things can't be done. You're not going to build an offensive line in 1 year by just going out there and spending all your draft capital on offensive line. Let me go out there and get 2 first-rounders on the offensive line and maybe get a second and a third. That's not going to happen. You got to slowly build it, or you got to build it through free agency, or just finding the right players that are on the right contracts that you could pull them in and build yourself not only a starting 5, but build yourself some depth in case some of those pieces go down. But I do like the option more with a guy like Russell Wilson, but I would rather draft than bring a guy in like Derek Carr. I would much rather draft a guy and maybe have a quarterback competition going into 2022 and just see who's the better guy. And if the rookie's not the better guy, well, then you got at least a year or two to think about it, and you could sit him and try to develop him and turn him into a project if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. I think that people are putting a higher price tag in than what's really – I mean, obviously Seattle is the determining factor of what happens, but I think a lot of people are putting a higher price tag on what it's going to take to get Russell Wilson than what it actually will take to get Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and we can't forget about Deshaun Watson out there too. I mean, if all that legal stuff clears, a lot of time has passed by, and I'm sure he's not going to want to go another season sitting out not playing football. So maybe the trade value for him is going to drop a little bit more as well when more time passes.
Yeah, we'll find out more about Watson's situation. I believe all the legal stuff is supposed to start in January, the proceedings. So I guess we'll find out more about that whole situation within the next month or so. It's going to be interesting to see how that is all handled, because you don't want that sort of – I guess the league doesn't want that sort of stories, captivating audiences in the middle of a playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, we are this. It's gonna be an interesting offseason.
I want to highlight this real quick. You don't gotta do nothing. You don't gotta do nothing. You can have the young quarterback and have a bum squad. The Rams literally were 4-12 when they drafted Jared Goff, and he was dookie. He wasn't even that good. And they built around that and got the team proper, and then we're like, the quarterback's holding us back. Let's go get a real deal quarterback. So there's no real way to do this. Just make it work. Like I'm sick of being placed in a bubble of like, you have to do it this way. You don't. There's multiple ways. You could do it like Buffalo. The Buffalo way looked like it wasn't even going to work until they got Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
It's 2 seasons of like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, I know they were contending a little bit in the second season for sure, but it's like you're looking at it like this is probably not going to work unless we get an A1 wide receiver. And thank God the market allowed them to do that. You can build it like plenty of different teams have done it. Miami is over there building a team, and it looks like they don't even got a roster. People were just saying Tua was a bust like 2 months ago, bro. They ain't got no real running back stable over there. Their wide receivers are average. You know, outside of Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker's just okay, and he's never on the field. But they're still finding a way to build that team over there. You look at how the Patriots just bounce back off Cam Newton being the quarterback over there. They go out there and they draft a rookie. People were thinking that rookie was going to sit behind Cam Newton for at least a year. They go, man, forget that. Start the kid. He looks like he's better. Get rid of Cam. Done deal. They're right back to where they were at. So we don't got to put ourselves into a bubble. That's why I haven't committed to a game plan yet. Bring back Daniel Jones if you want to. Go get Russell Wilson if you want to. Bring in a stopgap quarterback if you want to. Yeah, I saw Hub posted a video that was like the 4 options the Giants have at quarterback. Man, there's so many different ways you could do this. If you get the right trade from somebody, you never know what kind of quarterback the Giants could bring in. It could be a Teddy Bridgewater. It could be a young rookie in the draft. It could be a Russell Wilson. It could be a Derek Carr. It could be a Marcus Mariota. There's so many different players and so many different routes this could go.
Yeah, nobody knew Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff were going to get traded for each other, and then look what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that completely turned the whole
And I just imagine if Cam Akers was still healthy. Where was Cam Akers drafted?
End of the first round? Beginning of the second round?
That will be crazy because people not looking at that like, oh, man, you missed on the pick and all this when he's hurt, right? But with us, we're such a bad team that people are like, oh, we totally missed out when we drafted Saquon Barkley. But if you had a good team around him, people probably wouldn't be saying that.
No, absolutely not. And look, that was they had a good draft. They drafted Cam Akers. They drafted Van Jefferson in the same year. Great.
I want to make sure what round he was drafted into.
It might have been a 3rd rounder or 4th rounder, actually.
He was picked 52 in the 2nd round. So, yeah, I mean, that's looking like a great pick, you know.
And Van Jefferson was what? Back. Van Jefferson, I think, was a 3rd or 4th rounder. Unless the
thing about Van Jefferson ain't really he could be a Darius Slayton. I'm not saying he is.
Yeah.
But Van Jefferson was 2nd round too. So they got him in the 2020 draft, 57th overall.
So yeah, 5 picks after they drafted Cam Akers.
Yeah. You know, so you can if a good draft, the right moves in free agency, which is going to be tough for the Giants. Man, there's so many options, man. There's so many options for this team.
Big shout out to Zachary for the $5 super chat. Says if I was the Giants, I would draft a defensive end with the 1st pick, get Malik Willis with the 2nd first pick. Even though Malik plays at Liberty, he carried them to a 8-5 record.
Yeah, I got to look more at Malik. You know, I want to look at the total games and just see how he struggles. That's what I want to look at. Because when I scouted for Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins entering that 2019 draft, those were the 2 main quarterbacks I drafted because I got word that the Giants were going to draft Daniel Jones and that he was moving up draft boards. So I was like, let me compare these 2 quarterbacks. The one thing that I didn't look at was how they struggled. Colin Cowherd brought it up on his show just a couple weeks ago. Daniel Jones, he was averaging 150 yards against ranked opponents. He was under 60% as a college quarterback with a guy like Cutcliffe over there who's a quarterback guru. That should have been my alarm right there to be like, that's probably not the guy.
And you know what's interesting is what the rebuttal is for everybody when you bring things up like that is, oh, well, he's playing at Duke. He doesn't have the same weapons at receiver or the same line or the same running back as the schools in the SEC and the Big Ten and things like that. So it's like there's always going to be, you know, but yeah, sort of situation.
Hindsight is just so easier to see it, man. It really is. And, you know, even what Lax is saying here that Malik Willis could look like a Daniel Jones. The one thing about Malik Willis that look a lot different is that composure, that it thing that a lot of people like Bad Dog talk about. Like, he looks like a player. And I allowed Daniel Jones to fool my eyes a little bit because, you know, I am one that I put a little bit of emphasis on your style of how you play. And Daniel Jones is interesting. When I just looked with my eyes, I'm like, he don't scream franchise quarterback at all. But then you start seeing him make plays, and you're like, this dude just ran an 80-yard run. Granted, he fell on his face like a bozo, right? But he ran an 80-yard run, balling. He had that other 25-yard touchdown on that RPO against or the read option against the Philadelphia Eagles too, where he just took it and straight got ghost on him. Showed you he could run, but it never looked right to me. Something always looked a little bit like, like the coordination was a little bit off. And I hate to say something so simple like that about an NFL player, but even when I look at a guy like a Taylor Heineke or even a Kyle Allen, they play with more coordination than a guy like Daniel Jones. There's something about the eye test that didn't strike me right, but I went against my gut. Yeah. It's like I was saying about Jordan Howard over the weekend. Like, he looked like he's running with one leg that's longer than the other.
It was dying.
Yeah. Right. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says it right there. Like, stiff mechanics. Like, where you don't look. Even Jake Fromm, when he comes into the game on Sunday, you're like, damn, dude looked like a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he was like on the
shifty.
First play.
you could see the pep in his step. You could see it. Whereas like with Daniel Jones, it'd be looking like kind of like, oh, rusher, oh. And he like peels out and it's just slow and just like you don't see that thing. And the player that I thought I saw it the most on of any player in my whole entire existence of watching football was Mike Vick. When Mike Vick came in the league, I was like, that's what it's supposed to look like. Sorry. That's what it's supposed to look like. He's the kid that when I go play football in the back of the elementary school, I'm worried about that kid.
So now this is before I forget and we move on. So that's what I don't understand too. When Bad Dog talks about the it factor, but Bad Dog, who watches a lot of college football too, especially Oklahoma, doesn't see that in Jalen Hurts.
No, he does. Bad Dog got a whole video that says Jalen Hurts got the it factor. He just don't think that Jalen Hurts has the arm capabilities to be a successful franchise quarterback in the league, which is still up for debate. Yeah. He has up games, he has down games. The thing about Jalen Hurts though is normally the lows are not extreme lows. Outside of the game against the New York Giants, that's it.
Which they completely baffled me and went off script, and then they go into this game and it's right back to the script. They can go off script.
You can't forget he's only been in 17 games, so it's like they're seeing like, okay, let's try this out. It's a good game to try it out too against the Giants. You're like, man,
very true.
These jokers, man, let's try some passes. It don't work, and then you get right back to it. And to me, that's the sign of a good coach. A lot of people in our community were clowning Sirianni when he got hired, looking at it like this was a bozo hiring. But now you see him in his press conferences. He pull up to the table. He like, yeah, I was a little bit tough on Jalen Hurts because I think he's the kind of quarterback that could take that. Whereas he was stiff when he was first coming in to those first press conferences, week 2, week 3, week 4. I'm looking at this dude like, man, you about to get fired if you continue this. And now he's straight swagging because he gets it now. He understands the personnel that he's dealing with and how to make them excel and put his players in the best position to win, whereas Joe Judge can't figure that out. You got a team averaging over 5 yards a carry per rush, and you're not even running the ball. So the thing about Hurts is he's got a coach that actually believes in him. Not that just goes to the media and says, I believe in him, like Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman have been doing with Daniel Jones. Like, Daniel Jones is the guy. Well, what do you see that makes you think he's the guy? Because you're not exploiting it. I see y'all trying to run a bunch of RPO with Daniel Jones when Jason Garrett was here. It wasn't working that great. So what do you see that we don't see that makes you go, we have full confidence in the kid? He's great. You see this kid in preseason throwing interceptions where you remember the bonehead interception to Evan Ingram in preseason against the Patriots? We're like, what? That's our starting quarterback can't make that damn throw. I was worried right there. I was like, man, them numbers I said, that 4,700 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, 15 interceptions, I might have jumped a gun on that one, man. But moving forward, Jake Fromm, I hope he can, do something and spark this offense. Possibly. We're going to have Kadarius Toney maybe healthy next week. I'm just looking for some interesting football from the Giants. We haven't seen that in a long time here. Out of the race as far as the NFC East goes, this was the last game. This is the only time I remember a meaningless game against Dallas, like where the rivalry, don't throw it out the window. It didn't matter. We lost this game before we even stepped on the field. And I won't talk about the Pepsi. I won't talk about the medium Pepsis that they gave out at the stadium. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are that's Washington football
Yeah.
territory.
Medium? Gave you a medium, bro.
And it's one per a group. It wasn't like everybody who had a ticket stub.
Yeah. Selected few. Selected few. What's the dude? Was it Carson or Carlton and Roberts on WFAN? The one dude said they offered him a box that was right next to Jerry Jones. Bring whoever you want, everything included. It's all good. You could bring a party to MetLife. He was like, I'm good. Turned it down. He's a Jets fan, but still turned it down, bro. That goes to show you where the Giants are at right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Whew. Yeah, it's been bad. But let's get to your team. Talk about some more bad football. Let's get to your team. We don't even need a commercial break because we're an hour plus already. Let's just go right to it, right? All right, man. I knew this one was gonna go like this, DeBeard. I know you had a lot of hope. I knew this one was gonna be like this. Too much happening on this COVID-19 reserve list. With Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen on the COVID-19 reserve list, 30-year-old. Didn't know dude was 30. 30-year-old journeyman Garrett Gilbert, also known on Authentic and the Beard as Gilbert Grape, became the third quarterback to start for Washington this season and the 10th quarterback to start for them over the past 4 years. That don't make no damn sense. Gilbert completed 20 of 31 passes for 194 yards in his second career start, and he played about as well as one could expect from someone who was signed off the Patriots practice squad late last week. Roughly 24 players joined Taylor Heineke and Jonathan Allen on the COVID list over the past 2 weeks. And while several returned in time for Tuesday's rescheduled game, Washington was still missing key starters on both sides of the ball. Those circumstances, coupled with injuries suffered during the game, were too much for Coach Ron Rivera's squad to overcome against a healthier and more experienced Eagles team that was well-rested coming off their bye. The Washington football team eventually took the L to the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 27-17. And after the game, Jalen Hurts told reporters, listen to this right here. This is what you want to hear out of your guy. The job is not done. We know what we want to accomplish. I said to the guys, you have to have that mentality of not being denied. Jalen Hurts. After a slow start, had the interception off the foot of Goddard, had the fumble where he was holding on to the ball too long. Montez Sweat was looking like he was going to be a key factor in this game with that strip sack on Jalen Hurts too. Terrible first quarter. The kid bounces back, man. He shows you resilience, man. On 5 of his next 6 drives, they scored. That's what I'm looking for out of my quarterback. And early on in the year, a lot of people might have been calling me a Philadelphia Eagles homer, or, I've even heard people say, you're not a real Giants fan, because I was saying Jalen Hurts looked like he could be a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Week 15, I think there's no debate now. I know that Daniel Jones has been hurt and sidelined now for 3 weeks. This kid is the second best quarterback in the NFC East right now. Philly dominated the time of possession 35 minutes to 24 minutes, largely in part because of what they were doing in this running game. Washington had 54 plays to Philadelphia's 70, and the Eagles were 7 of 13 on third down. Now, look, I'm going to say it one more time, and y'all take this to the bank and remember this. If you do not have a reliable running game, you need a franchise quarterback. And the Philadelphia Eagles are number 1 in rushing right now in the NFL. Jalen Hurts finished that day 20 of 26. That interception wasn't even his fault. He had 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times on the day. He did have that 1 fumble on one of those sacks, but the passer rating ends up being 110.4, and largely the running game on the back of Miles Sanders, 18 carries for 131 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. It's not many quarterbacks that will not excel when that's happening, but also Jalen Hurts is a major factor of why this running game clicks. And I told you a little bit earlier, I said a guy like Jordan Howard, he would not even be a starting running back on a lot of other teams. He could start probably on the Ravens, and I would say he could probably start on the Cardinals, because those 2 teams have the elusive quarterback that can extend plays and also be a part of that running game. So when you're a defense, you got to scheme up for multiple people. Jordan Howard had 15 carries for 69 yards, man. The Philadelphia Eagles, they did this without even giving the ball to Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott on the day. 41 rushes for 238 yards, man. That is the formula. That is the roadmap for a team to win in the league right now when you don't have a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady at the quarterback position?
40. They ran the ball 41 times, man. You know, that's the magic number.
41.
Look, I've been saying this for 2 years now. I remember the first time I said it, and people looked at me like I was crazy when I said this Washington football team's offense runs through Antonio Gibson. Like,
I don't know why they was looking at you crazy.
I don't know either.
Like,
I don't know either.
Who else would they say it runs through? Terry McLaurin?
It just, I think, and then, like, even to this day, right now, there's people in the Washington football community that are begging for Washington to draft another running back. When you have the 7th leading rusher in the National Football League is Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
7th. And yet here we are begging for another running back. Listen, there was a lot that went on in this game. Before I get into the game, I do want to give a big shout out to Jennifer. Waterfly. Big shout out to Waterfly, yes. But I want to give a big shout out to Jennifer King, who became the first ever African-American woman position coach in a National Football League game.
Running backs coach, right?
Yep, running backs
That's
coach.
awesome.
She is the assistant running backs coach, and our head guy went out with COVID, so that was a huge moment. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge Jennifer King and give her love. So big shout out for that. That's a huge moment in NFL history. But look, the game couldn't have started out any better than it did. 2 turnovers, 10-0 lead. I mean, the Gilbert was doing all right. I did like how they got his rhythm going early. And they did it on a smart play to Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson looked great coming out the gate. You know, his numbers, when you look at the numbers, they're all awful. Bad. It's all bad looking.
He did have the first quarter where he had a couple of little short passes that he extended and definitely got some yards.
Yeah, and he had a couple of really good runs too. And they weren't committed to the run from the beginning. And I think they thought, this is what happens too. I'm on record as saying I am not a fan of Scott Turner's offense. Now, I will say that he has improved over time, but it's just like, I have given you guys the roadmap, and the roadmap has proven successful during a 4-game winning streak. But now it's just like, you think that it's like they overthink it. They're like, oh, they think I'm going, like, for, just an example, they think I'm going to run, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
And the defense doesn't think that you think that they know that you're going to run, but now you're going to pass. Like,
they don't think that you think that they think that you
it's
think they're going.
They overdoing it. They're overthinking it. Like, just run the damn ball. I don't care if it's not working. Keep running it. Just keep running it. Die on the sword. And then there was one play that I thought Scott Turner did that was an absolutely awesome play, and that was a 3rd down pass to John Bates on 3rd and 1. I thought that was a great play call, and it worked. They got the first down, almost got a touchdown out of that play. But besides that, they ran the ball only, what was it, 21 times they ran the ball. That was it. It was just bad. And then when they got the second turnover, and then they had the big play to Terry McLaurin, you're on the 7-yard line. Knowing that you have Gilbert at quarterback, knowing that you're down 5, starters, you have to score a touchdown there. I mean, yeah, we got the 3. We're up 10-0. I understand. That's good. But you got to score a touchdown there. And I thought Adam Humphries should have caught that ball that he dropped, that Gilbert put right there on him. I thought that was a missed opportunity. Being up 14-0 is a big difference than being up 10-0. I mean, obviously you don't know how the rest of the game is going to play out, but I totally thought that was going to be the case. And then 3rd and 1, we were down 10-3, and there was a 3rd and 1 play. I thought that the Eagles player was clearly offsides. I mean, it was like a blatant, like he came off the edge, and then we had to punt the ball. That was a drive that was only at 1 minute and 48 seconds. They held the time of possession is a little bit skewed too, because Washington's final drive of the game, the final drive that they had before, they turned the ball over, and then Philly gave us the ball back, and they had a one-play drive after that.
Right.
The last drive of the game was a 5 minute and 23 or 26-second drive. So without that drive, Washington only held the ball for 19 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yeah, but you can't really just remove that drive though, because that is a pivotal drive. You're down by 10 points at that point in the game.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to remove the drive. I'm just saying that, like, for the rest of the game, there was no sort of possession control. You know, like you can't you that's the sort of drive that you need to have throughout the game. You can't have these 1 minute. There was one drive, okay? So they first of all, they came out the half and they let Philly just march down the field on them, which was, and I mean, that was a 6-play, 75-yard drive Philly came out and scored a touchdown on. So now it's 17-10. The following drive, right after that, Washington goes 3 plays for -1 yards and 55 seconds off the clock. So your team, your defense just came off the field off of a 75-yard drive. Now they've only been off the field for 55 seconds, and they got to come back on the field again. Like, the defense was hurting. There were some real serious tackling issues on the Washington
That was that drive
side.
too, where I be wanting to say Gilbert grape so bad, bro. What's his kid's name? Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert, yes.
He threw the interception, but there was a penalty on the play. So y'all dodged that bullet there. And then second down, I feel like y'all got a little conservative because you were a little bit scared, the quarterback. You don't want the quarterback to make the mistake. That big mistake that I talked about on Twitter that could really end the game there. You're already down by 7. So they went conservative, and they ran it on second down. And then you try to pass it on third down, you're 3 and out. That drive's over.
And some costly penalties. The one that stuck out the most to me was the end of the first half. Carter, who's my guy, leads the league in kickoff return yards, gets an absolutely beautiful return, and we get a penalty on the return, block in the back or a holding penalty. Stupid, you know, one of those penalties that has absolutely nothing to do with where the guy's running, but, you know, you blew it. And so, like, then even with that, because at that point you have really great field position. I want to say he took it back to the Philly 40, right around the midfield, you know? And so instead you got to start all the way back half the distance to the goal now. And we somehow managed to get up there with a couple of big plays. And then Gilbert, you know, the inexperience happens. You take the sack on 2nd and 1, no timeouts, 30 seconds left at that point. They're just like, all right, we're going to go into the half. But, like, that penalty, that sack combined, just the way that you end the half, and then to come out of the half and let them just run all over you on that opening drive. And it wasn't like, you know, I had a lot of that running. Like, sometimes, you know, I see people, the casuals on Twitter, saying, oh, my God, I haven't seen holes that big since, you know, some lame dad joke. Yeah. But Miles Sanders was a lot of those yards weren't just big holes. A lot of those yards were Miles Sanders doing work. There were a couple of plays where he was bouncing them outside, you know, when the up the middle wasn't open. He was bouncing them outside and taking them. Dallas Goedert and you know, Goedert was somebody that we mentioned in the preview. Like, this guy is going to be an issue on Washington's linebackers, and he was. Not having Kendall Fuller out there and Cameron Curl was a huge issue, because Cameron Curl is great at filling holes when those running backs get to the second level. There was just nobody to do that. And Jeremy Reeves, who I love to death and I thought should have been on this roster from the beginning of the year, he came in and played a pretty good game. He had a couple of mistakes, obviously, and I thought he was going to have that interception on Goddard, but Goddard just, you know, made a bigger play that there was nothing you could really do about that at that point. You know, like, Goddard was just bigger and made the play. And there's a couple of those huge plays. I mean, even at the end of the game, Washington's down 7 points. We're down 3 points. It's 20-17, and they go on that drive where he makes the touchdown drive. I think was the back shoulder throw to Greg Ward.
Fantastic throw. Placement was just out of this world. And that was 20-17 at that point. They had that 8-play drive for 80 yards.
8-play, 80-yard drive. And the biggest play on that entire drive, 3rd and 6. Jalen Reagor goes for 34 yards. I mean,
you know, this game, y'all, outside of the 2 turnovers in the beginning of this game, it was kind of a blowout. I know it was a 3-point game here late, but The game wasn't really close. Tested him once right there, and that's it. But, I mean, look at just all the drives you just broke down, right? You talked about so many big plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. You talked about Miles Sanders in the third quarter coming out of the locker room. They get that big drive, and they go up by 7. He had a 38-yard run on that drive. Then you talked about the third down conversion from Rager where he's picking up 30-plus yards. Washington didn't have no chunks like that on the day for real. Running-wise,
the one play, the McLaurin play was the biggest play of the game.
That's why I said like that.
Yeah.
Now, you want to live and die on the run, I know.
Yeah.
But at some point or another, you have to abandon it when it's looking this pitiful right here from your main running back. I mean, 1.7 yards per carry.
The toe injury for Antonio Gibson completely,
Then get him out the game.
Patterson
is
they
serviceable.
took him out the game.
Yeah, get him out the game.
But
he had carries in the third quarter.
Yeah, because he came back. I mean, look.
That's why you see what I'm saying?
Because he's your best player. The offense runs to him. You got to at least try.
You said, first, I'm just saying the excuses in the line here, right? First,
it's not an excuse.
If it's the toe, bring in the other guy.
Just bring him in.
For good.
Well,
substitute.
I mean,
he was running better than him on the day, too. He had 4 carries for 20 yards.
On what's the long, though?
I don't care. He's running better than him. He had a touchdown and 20 yards on 4 carries. It's 5 yards a clip in comparison to a guy who's, 15 carries for 26 yards, bro. It's awful. You know what I like to say to my homies when we play 2K? Help me help you. So if I'm the coach, right, and you want more carries than 15 carries, you can't be out here getting 26 yards on 15 carries.
Well, listen, if you're not going to give it to Antonio Gibson, give it to somebody. I don't care who the running back is at that point. Run the ball.
63 yards as a team, bro.
Yeah, on 21 carries.
That's horrible.
It is horrible, but listen, I'm not saying you have to get 200 yards, but you gotta have. It's not always about the amount of yards when it comes to the run game. It's about using the run game as a tool. Your run game will help your defense.
So just to get your mind as a coordinator or how you would call plays, you're down 7. You run it on first down and it gets stuffed. You going to run it again on second down?
Yeah.
Down 7. Okay. So now what about late in the game? You get down 10 points. First down gets stuffed. Now you're looking at 2nd and 12. You going to run the ball again?
How much time?
Fourth quarter, I'll give you whatever. 9 minutes left in the game. 10 minutes. I give you 10 minutes just to make it better for you.
I'm running the ball.
It's just not smart.
Or I'm pass running it.
You say the yards don't matter, right? But it's simple mathematics here. At 1.7 yards per carry, you can't do that 3 times and get a first down.
No, you can't. I mean, listen, the run game wasn't effective, but it does. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to say that you're wrong at all, right? I'm just saying that the way that the game plan just felt like it was never run centric from the beginning, which is what I think the problem was. And I think their run game at times, and this has been like this throughout the entire season, has been so predictable that it's difficult for Antonio Gibson or whoever the running back is to get any sort of room. Plus, we're down Brandon Sheriff, we're down our center, the offensive lineman. No McKissick, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like they're scared to use Garrett Patterson at times. I don't know why.
It does seem like that. And
but they seem reluctant
to
give him
short
carries.
yardage running back, to be honest. He don't seem like he can do all the things in the passing game that Washington needs their running back to do because y'all don't have the weapons on the outside. And
that's what kills me, too, is that I don't understand why the first play of the game, and there's been at least in the last 3 weeks, in the last 3 games, where Antonio Gibson has had a 10-yard-plus reception out of the backfield. If you don't have McKissick, why can't you use Antonio Gibson, who played receiver his entire life?
We got a little something here. Well, six receptions for 39 yards. He had the most catches of anybody on that whole team.
Yeah, but I needed more. I needed more like consistent.
The first drive for you guys when you guys get the turnover from the Eagles says a lot about this game. It took y'all 7 plays to get in the end zone from the 26-yard line.
All run plays. Or not all run plays, all Antonio Gibson touches, though. He touched the ball every single play on those 7 plays.
Yeah, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs. 6 runs. 6 runs to Antonio Gibson out of those 7 plays. But you say that they didn't set the tempo right off the bat.
That was in our first drive, though. I mean,
I know.
that was a turnover on the 20-yard line. You know what I'm saying?
26-yard line. But to me, that shows a little bit of a struggle that's happening with the offense. The number one statistic that stood out to me in this game, the quarterback didn't turn the ball over. And that's if I'm bringing in Gilbert Grape from the practice squad of the Patriots, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
bro, don't turn the ball over.
I didn't listen. I don't have anything bad to say about Gilbert. You know, me underthrew the ball a couple of times. He took a couple of bad sacks. But for a guy who's has had 2 practices, besides we talked about this, besides a movie script performance, that's about as best as you can ask. But just being down 5 starters, not having the practice, and it just showed. The Eagles played a game that I dream of my team playing. And
yeah, but y'all don't got that personnel, bro. I hate to say
don't.
it.
That's what I'm saying. I dream. I'm not saying that we can. We should. But that's the game that I dream of.
There. You know, it's not there. I told you this when we were off air. The offensive coordinator is strapped, bro. You start shutting down y'all number one weapon and the identity of your team, which is not a very solidified identity when you talk about Antonio Gibson. I know all that 7th in the NFC and all that. I know all that, whatever, right? The dude is not a workhorse running back that you just want to have him. You need guys like McKissick in your passing game for it to even have a chance. And kudos to the Philadelphia Eagles defense here, man. They shut down that run. 63 yards, bro. You can't. Dare I say there's no way y'all could have won this game with that type of running output. There's no way that you would have won this game.
You would have had to have scored a defensive touchdown or had a
you need a good Chicago Bears
stops.
Monday night type game. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, Washington can't win a football game if they can't successfully run the ball 40 times a game. Yeah, it's just
no franchise quarterback, man. A lot of teams are like that.
Yeah,
a lot of teams are like that.
And the defense, I thought, played well in the first half. You know, and I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and they were like, the defense was atrocious this is at halftime. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? They gave up 10 points and had 2 turnovers. And the defense played atrocious? You know what I'm saying? Like, the defense definitely didn't play atrocious in the first half. Second half was a different story.
Yeah,
and I think you got to give credit where credit's due. Is like, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses and say COVID this and COVID that. And listen, every single team in the National Football League right now is dealing with injuries, is dealing with COVID. You know, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. And you know, like we had our share of luck on the interception. You know, like, I mean, that's obvious. I don't want to take anything away from Landon Collins, who, by the way, played another great game. You know, recovered a fumble, had an interception. You know, like, I don't want to take anything away from him, you know, staying with the play and being focused. But I mean, obviously, there's a lot of luck that goes into a ball being dropped and off of somebody's heel, and then, you know, your guy making a play on it. The defense just didn't
He fumbled it. He fumbled it when he was running it back.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all got it back. So you got super lucky.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a tough game. You know, like it was like fool's gold, false hope. You know, that 10-0 lead.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that when they didn't capitalize on that second turnover with a touchdown, that was an issue. They needed you. Listen, you got it, and we got dominated in the trenches. And I don't necessarily. A lot of people were giving a lot of flack to the defensive line. I don't think the defensive line necessarily played bad. I just think that the gap assignment was bad all around defensively, and I think
that is on your line a little bit too there, because to allow the Eagles to run for this many yards, and you saw the holes, man. RPO and read zone option, it's tough to stop, man.
Yeah,
it's
especially
very
when
tough to stop.
They had Howard and Sanders in the game at the same time with Jalen Hurts. It's like, well, I mean, you know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And Hurts is the kind of guy that'll make you pay. He will make you pay.
Exactly.
If you're
He
playing
did too.
defensive end and you collapse down on a running back, he's going to make you pay. And that's why I really like Jalen Hurts. He's got that it thing, man. He's got that factor of like, we aren't going to lose this game. I'll go back to the quote that I said in the beginning where he was saying, you have to have that mentality of not being denied, man. Dog. That screams somebody that's going to get theirs no matter what. And he started off slow in this game. I didn't even think that the first quarter truly mattered. I think that the second quarter and the third quarter were really where the Philadelphia Eagles dominated and took over this game because it's 10-10 at the half. You come out in the half, the Eagles go right down the field, they score, and then they stop y'all on a 3-and-out. It's damn near game over right there. And then they just start running. You could tell they placed an emphasis on the run for the second half, which we've seen Sirianni do that in multiple games this year. And they came out and just ran the hell out of the ball in the second half. And Jalen Hurts made the throws that he needed to make. And, Goddard was out there playing wide receiver number 1 at the tight end position. I talked about on Thursday how he came into this game with the highest yards per catch for any tight end in the league right now. And in this game, he averaged 19.3 yards per catch, man.
That's insane.
You see plays break down where Jalen Hurts would be looking for someone, and Goddard would just sit in the zone, and he just hitting them right in the zone. And Rager had a bounce-back game, too. Devonta Smith had that big catch. They kind of kept him under wraps, and he had the hamstring injury that hit him later on in the game. There was that one post route that I thought they should have connected on, too, man. That could have been another big play for the Eagles. But Washington, man, I just think the Eagles are a better team. And
no. I think it's safe to say that. I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're a better team.
I think you could make an argument, but it would probably be a losing argument.
Because look, when you look at the Eagles, the identity is there. You know what they're going to do.
That's what's so frustrating for me because I felt like on the 4-game winning streak that Washington had that we had an identity. It may not have been as good as what Philly has done since they found their identity because, like you mentioned, we don't have the same personnel to fit the identity that Philadelphia does.
Right.
But
not many teams have that identity.
I felt like we've gone away from what was working. I don't have any other answers. I don't have any other answers.
I don't think you went away from it. It's just not working.
Don't think it's executing it well enough.
1.7 yards per carry from your lead guy who's the identity imagine like the Browns go out there and Nick Chubb is averaging 1.7 yards per carry, which is what it looked like in that game against I believe it was the Ravens last week.
Raiders.
Against the Raiders last week. Wait, was it the Raiders game?
That was this week. They played
that was this week. I'm talking about the last week game where Nick Chubb was being shut out the whole first half. They committed to it. He ended up popping some runs later, and then them numbers look crazy. You go from like 2 yards per carry to like 5-6 yards per carry, easy. But in this game,
see, that's what I want.
15 carries, man. You got to break one, bro.
I mean, he did break more than one, but he had so many negative carries at the end that it just kind of
26 yards.
The numbers are skewed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
are they
the one play?
So what were the runs that he broke? Like, how big were those runs? If you remember them.
I want to say he had a couple of 11, 12-yard runs.
All right, that's not breaking a run, man. That's a little.
Well, I mean,
so getting the first down, a little get tackled.
I meant as far as in comparison to the 1.9 or 1.6, whatever it is. That's
1.7. That ain't gonna get it done, And I don't think that it's an identity thing here. It's just not working thing.
And I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line too. But like I said, I'm not here to make excuses because every team in the National Football League is dealing with similar situations to one extent or another. Yeah. So, you got to find a way to win. And the fact that we were only down by 3 points with 8 minutes left to go in the game, I mean, I couldn't really ask for anything better than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it didn't remind me as crucial as the Giants Cowboys game was. But this was the kind of game that was like, okay, they get within 3. Let's go down here and score a touchdown and just handle business here real quick. Okay.
And that's what happened. They kind of were just like, okay, we gotta put this away.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the homie Waterfly for the $2 super chat. Hi Nikki. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I like that little added. Shout out Waterfly one time in the building, man. That comment you said earlier had me dying in my mind. I'm trying to keep my composure up here and not laugh too crazy.
I saw why I saw it. I saw the comment. I saw the
funny.
laughter, the initial reaction.
Mental laughter. That was good. Shout out Waterfly one time in the building, man.
Appreciate you.
But a couple questions before we get up out of here about this game. Kimberly Jones was on ESPN. I don't know if you're familiar with Kimberly Jones. She used to work for the Washington Post, African American female. Now doing some stuff with ESPN on First Take, and they got a podcast that she does called I believe it's called Her Take with 3 females from the ESPN network. She said the Eagles will be in the quarterback market in this year's draft. So I just want to know what your thoughts are about that, and what you think about Jalen Hurts being the guy moving forward.
I think that would be the most foolish thing you could possibly do. And I don't think how anybody – I know how people could think like that, because people are doubters, and people want to – I don't know. To me, it seems crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it before, and that's why I was so glad that you mentioned his quote now, because this isn't the first quote that Jalen Hurts has had this season where you've been like, that's the starting quarterback. That's a captain of my team. That's a leader. And listen, I've been preaching to the Jalen Hurts choir.
Yeah.
Since they drafted him. I said the day they drafted him, I said that's going to be one of the biggest steals of the draft right there. I loved what they did with that draft. Even though I thought they should have taken Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor, I still thought Jalen Reagor was a good wide receiver. But look, they've no Giants Pro Bowler.
Kind of crazy.
We got one, Jonathan Allen. But yeah, I think that would be foolish. And yes, Jalen Hurts is the guy moving forward. And I don't know the exact situation with Gardner Minshew, but if he's still under contract, I mean, like, you want to talk about having a good quarterback situation, 1A, 1B, 2 guys. I mean, like, listen, you're in a 17-game season, and we're living in a
1B, but
I meant, like, you know what I mean, a backup.
Yeah.
We're in a new world of the National Football League. Okay, 17 games and COVID. COVID's not going away, okay? This is going to be here for a while, okay? If not forever. So you got to have depth. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things, and Awthentik especially has talked about this year. That's going to be one of the biggest things I think teams are going to address with the additional cap space moving forward is depth. You gotta have depth, and you just have to. So
now, what are you insinuating that at the quarterback position?
Yeah, quarterback position. I mean, and every position. But I think that I'm not insinuating that for the Eagles. I think that they have solid with Minshew and Hurts. I don't foresee any circumstances whatsoever where especially what happens if the Philadelphia Eagles make the playoffs? There were people who thought they were going to be worse than what we thought they were going to be. We at least gave them a fighting
people were
chance.
Like saying they couldn't win a game.
Yeah,
we didn't give them a fighting chance.
Well, I went back. I said, look,
5.
the Eagles might mess around and make the playoffs, but I think they're going to go 5-11.
I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible. That's so you can say what you're saying right now. We did not give them a fighting chance. At 5 wins, the New York Giants right now have 4 wins with 3 games left. There is no fighting chance. I just want to keep that very funky with you.
I mean, you're still
now, I will agree that Jalen Hurts is the guy moving forward. It would be idiotic for them to draft a quarterback right now, especially with Gardner Minshew on the roster, if you like him as a backup or if you like him to maybe even challenge the job. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors over there. But what I would do is Gardner Minshew would not see the field for the rest of this season no matter what happens. I don't care if Jalen Hurts gets carted off the field with a broken leg. I go find another quarterback to start him, and I keep Gardner Minshew's trade value super high. And I deal him in the offseason. Somebody's going to need a quarterback, Giants possibly. And I deal him because a guy like Gardner Minshew right now, he has value. You look at what happened with
You're just
even
worried
Josh
about
Rosen.
his value going down?
Exactly. That's why I don't play him again, because the value, you want people to think he's still got it. right?
So what do you think his value is right now?
His value right now got to be at least a third rounder. That's what I think. Josh Rosen was traded for a second rounder after one god awful year with the Cardinals. He was traded for a second rounder. So I do think Gardner Minshew has a little bit of trade value there. I'd deal him for another offensive weapon, maybe another wide receiver that's a different style. I think the coaches
Possession
get a little
guy?
bit, not even necessarily a possession guy, maybe a physical guy like an A.J.
Physical
Brown
guy.
or something.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But I think a lot of coaches, what they end up doing is they fall in love with a style of wide receiver. You see it with the Giants, right? You bring in guys like Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. They all fit that same mold. And I do like what they try to do with Kenny Galladay to come in and play a different role. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles need to do something like that. Not a big free agent splash like what Kenny Galladay was, but trade Gardner Minshew maybe for some draft stock where you could go out there and either draft somebody or a wide receiver who's like in that second tier of wide receiver or another tight end.
And they got 2 first-round picks this draft.
And they got 2 first-round picks. You could trade the Giants and the Eagles both are at liberty right now to trade one of their first-round picks for a later first-round pick and still have 2 first-round picks and maybe add more draft capital. But I think that Jalen Hurts is that guy. Keep the value high for Gardner Minshew so you can trade him. I think that's very smart. And I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a New England kind of style offense with 2 tight ends there that are 2 very viable tight ends, not some tight end who's just going to come in and do stuff like a guy like Ricky Seals-Jones or something like that. I'm talking about like go out there and go get you that other stud tight end to pair with Goddard, and I think you really got a match made in heaven there. The boy Jalen Hurts can play football. You talk about football players, the boy can play football, and I want to pull up this graphic real quick too before we get to that. Look at this. Most rushing touchdowns by quarterbacks in NFL history. Now, this is why I think a lot of people undervalued Cam. They didn't know what he did in 2020 because they just looking at the passing statistics.
Yeah.
Come on, 12 touchdowns rushing the ball with the Patriots there, and they only won like 6 games or whatever it was, and Cam Newton still, granted it wasn't a real winning formula. But look at these other quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts already at 10 right now. It's
Shout
higher
out to
than
my man Cordell Stewart.
Oh yeah, who
in the building.
I use him as an example of what a real gadget player is. Don't get those kind of players.
There's people who have no idea what Cordell Stewart really was.
Because he wasn't that great, bro. It was very short-lived.
He wasn't, but he was.
And he wasn't that great.
He was a guy, though, during that time of our lives.
He was a gadget quarterback, and I liked his name on this list because of the modern-day quarterbacks here, he's the one that you don't want your guy to be like on this list. You want him to be like Cam Newton 2011. That's what you want out of Jalen Hurts. Dante Culpepper's another surprise there because he had big wide receiver talent over there as well. But Cam Newton is on this list 3 times. So Jalen Hurts is looking to be a guy who is kind of like a Cam Newton. And if he could add to his passing resume, he could be kind of like a guy like a Kyler Murray. We know he doesn't have that arm talent that Kyler Murray has for sure. But I think his running capabilities are even better than a guy like Kyler Murray. So if Sirianni can stay there, that marriage can stick together for another couple years. I mean, I see success. The Eagles' offensive roster.
Look at that completion percentage in this game, too, because a lot of people, that's the one thing people always talk about Jalen Hurts when he's throwing the balls. His completion percentage is.
Yeah, it's struggling.
20 of 26 is not bad.
I wouldn't use the one game as an outright thing.
Yeah, but I'm just,
go back to the Giants game.
There.
There's about 5 games this year where you look at Jalen Hurts and go, we got to clean that the hell up.
Yeah,
he's not a passer yet.
That's his thing that you'll see, I think, year 3.
My point is, you don't have to do that.
I've
been saying this all along. At the quarterback position, he don't got to throw the ball that much. You either have a fantastic running game or a franchise quarterback. It's clear that the Eagles have a fantastic running game. It's clear. He doesn't have to play that role of these throwing quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson doesn't have to do it either. And I think the reason why Lamar is struggling, you're seeing the injuries and the running back situation start to pile up now, and there's no one else to go to besides Mark Andrews. And obviously the injury with Lamar Jackson doesn't help, but he was in a slump a bit before that. But with Jalen Hurts, he doesn't have to be a fantastic passer because if he can run the ball the way he's running the ball, he'll keep teams off balance so that when he does throw it, it's a surprise. And it kind of goes to what you were saying earlier about, like, playing that mind game of, like, are we going to run it or are we going to pass it? And when teams don't know that, to me, that's when the Dallas Cowboys are most effective, when they have that running game going, because then it's like, we can run zone right on you all day. I dare you try to stop it. And then when we run this play action, it's going to kill you. It's going to kick you right in the ass.
Why would you draft a quarterback?
Here's the crazy part is that everyone on the panel was in agreement with her too. Yeah, it was she was on 2 shows this morning. She was on with Swagoo. I forget homie's name. Big dude.
Marcellus, not Marcellus.
Not Marcellus.
It's, Marcus Spears.
Marcus Spears, yeah. She was on with him. He agreed. And then she went on with the Get Up later on, and they all agreed. And I was kind of like, maybe they don't really got a close eye on this. Because to me, the dude is he as a running quarterback, he is that guy. 24 total touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3 of those interceptions against the New York Giants.
Because they want their quarterbacks to be a certain way in the media, man. That's just all it is. I hate to say it, but
passers.
And if they're not a drop back passer, they got to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's still a drop back passer.
Yeah,
he can do little crafty little runs. You know, Patrick Mahomes is a lot like Aaron Rodgers. People don't want to say it, but he's a lot like him. He got a little more gunslinger and a little less arm talent. I feel like Aaron Rodgers just like, man, he just be making some of these throws, man, where he's just like, I'm about to show off on y'all.
I love watching him play football. I don't know what it is, but
he's great. He's great. It ain't I don't know what it is. He's great. That dude is great. But Jalen Hurts, man, 33 career touchdowns in 17 career games.
I'll take it all day.
We got to start giving
let's go get another one. Let's go get another guy to try and do that. We already have one, but let's go get another one.
It's an interesting philosophy going around the league, but I like Jalen Hurts. I won't say he's a franchise quarterback, but I will say that you can win games with him because he enhances your running game.
I'll take it a step level. You can win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles and Joe Flacco. Who's the other Ravens quarterback? Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer is his name is always going to be used in discussions.
Oh yeah, big exception to the rule with Trent Dilfer, man. So y'all got Dallas again next week.
Yep.
And we got Philly again next week. Just swap, should be fun.
Can we get some wins this week? Tune in Thursday night, 7:00 p.m.
Definitely
Eastern Standard Time.
We're not getting wins. I told
we
you
are going to be.
Do you think Washington's a playoff team right now? You got one more week to say yeah. You gonna say no?
No. Unfortunately, I think that boat has sailed. You had to have won one of these 2 games for me to believe that you're a playoff team, and you didn't win either. So
had that 4-game winning streak that kind of held y'all down just a little bit. One more time at the playoff picture right here. You got the Packers, Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals in the division leads. And you got the Rams, 49ers, and the Vikings in the wild card.
The Saints win hurt us. Not really hurt us.
Y'all loss is really where you screwed up here.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, you really screwed up here. The Vikings, I think the Vikings are going to be the team to get in. They have a foundation at quarterback. And if it's not the Vikings, I think it'll be the Eagles.
I think the Vikings have the toughest remaining schedule of everybody, though.
I know they got the Bears one more time, so you could chalk that up as a victory probably.
Green Bay.
Schedule. Yeah, I think they did have Green Bay on there one more time. Yeah, Green Bay, the Bears, and the Rams. So let's say they go 1-2. Let's say they go 1-2.
Nope, not getting in.
1-2 will put you at 8-9. And you're looking at the Eagles got the Giants. Who else the Eagles got? Eagles are unpredictable, man. Let's check this out real quick before we get up out of here. So the Eagles got all divisional games, Giants, Cowboys, Washington. So, I mean, the Eagles could lose 2 as well.
Okay, so now I'm looking at this. You got the Saints.
You need to start having these on deck for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Saints got the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Dolphins, which is the easiest road, but they kind of got the worst team of the 3, I feel like.
So Washington has the toughest. Now, this is the thing, though, is that, Vikings. Washington has to win out. Okay? So if Washington wins out and Vikings and Eagles and Saints all go 1-2, they're in. Washington's in. Who do the Falcons have?
Falcons got the Saints the last week. They got the Bills and they got the Lions. So I mean, the Falcons could get 2 wins too. I think it's going to come down to that Falcons Saints game, last game of the year. I think that's where it's going to come down.
And what about Washington? So what? Listen, this game against Dallas Cowboys. God, I hate the NFL. It's gonna. I mean, and it's in Dallas prime time.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Y'all done. Y'all are done. It's over. Get ready for the playoffs and play-by-play.
I think we might shock the world.
You said that last week or something. What you said 5 straight or something. You were saying all kinds. You sound like my man G Nation. Shout out to G Nation. He was like, how many games we got left? He's like, oh, the Giants got 4 wins. We're going 11-6. We're gonna win out. Then we lost again. He was like, nah,
10-7.
10-7. Then he said, man, screw this team. It's over. It's over. Yeah,
okay, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
What if Washington does beat Dallas?
I think that y'all will lose one of the other two. It's Eagles again, right?
And then Giants.
Yeah. I just don't got y'all beating Dallas and the Eagles back to back.
After losing to Dallas and the Eagles back to back.
Yeah. That's more confidence for them too. And now the Eagles really know how to beat y'all. I think they really got the formula.
Do you agree that there is some positive out of playing that opponent that close to playing them previously, as far as game planning goes and executing?
A little bit. For both teams, though, I think it doesn't give an advantage to either team.
I don't think it necessarily gives an advantage to either other team, but I feel like you can game plan a little bit easier. Like, the film is fresh. Okay, it's not like you played a team in week 3.
It's contradicting a little bit because you're saying it'll make the game plan easier, but it won't give an advantage to either team.
Yeah.
So it's a bit contradicting.
It's going to still come down to who wants it more.
Yeah, and
I need Washington. I need Washington to start coming out a little bit more, punching people and like stepping on throats, man. I need some more aggression, man. We need something like that, man.
Yeah,
I feel like
started this game good with them turnovers, but I do think that not having Taylor Heineke back there hurt y'all. And the injuries too. But with Taylor Heineke in the game, at least you can say, okay, when you get down by 3, Taylor Heineke's going to extend some drives, man. That's what he does on third downs. He's picking up them third downs and he's making plays and he's getting people in position. But this quarterback, you could tell, was just trying not to make the mistakes. And he did a good job of that. I think he filled it pretty well.
He did. Yeah.
Goes to show you the average quarterback play ain't going to win you a lot of games in the NFL.
Yeah. Unless you got a
solid running game.
There you go.
Yeah. And even then, I think you need a guy who's a little bit above average. Just a little bit above average. You don't want these Gilbert Grape guys.
No. Did you see the clip that I posted of Pat McAfee and them trying to figure out all the quarterbacks that were going to play for a Washington football team that night?
Nah, I didn't see it. Nope.
Bruh. It is one of the funniest things. Like, it's literally like, I feel like it was a discussion, and I thought you and I had the same discussion on air, but we had it before we went live backstage. But it was literally like that. Like, they were just like, wait, is Kyle? They were like Laletta, and he was like, no, it's the coach's son. And then they're like,
oh yeah,
Shermer. And then they're like Jordan Ta'amu. And then they're like Gilbert. And then AJ Hawk's like, Gilbert, what's eating Gilbert Grape? And then like somebody says that, and then AJ Hawk says DiCaprio, and then it's like just the dog. It's I'll send you. I'll tag you in it.
Yeah, tag me. I definitely gotta check that out. I love their podcast, man. They're super funny. I see 40 Luck in the building one time. Shout out 40 Luck. He says the most Giants thing ever is to win the rest of our games and mess it up for everyone. Not this year, 40 Luck. Not this year. Got Jake Fromm coming out here to try to do some things. Nah. He's not going to be thanging.
Go Giants. Let's go. We got a big game this weekend.
Why do you need us to win? Because we're playing the Eagles. That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we beat them last time we played, but we did have Daniel Jones.
Tomorrow night, guys. 7 o'clock
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Tomorrow night. Make sure y'all pull up, man. This was a good one. I be always like, yeah, it's going to be quick. 2 games. We go 2 hours and a half, you know.
It was
It's
a
nothing.
good conversation, man. And the chat had some good carrying moments early on in that segment.
I still don't
man.
agree with your, rely on the running game plan when it's looking that bad.
I know you don't, man. But listen, look.
I don't, man.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die on the sword, man.
Got to find a way. Giants fans like, throw it down the field, man. I don't care if he throws interceptions. Throw it down the field. Mike Glennon sucks, man. 3 interceptions. He sucks, man.
Yo, my Twitter feed during that game was hysterical.
No, Giants fans, Twitter is just a whole comedy show now.
They were ready to take Mike Glennon out to the pasture.
People making videos. Start Jake Fromm. It's like, yo, dog. We down bad right now. We down bad, but we're going to get right. We're going to get right, man. It's going to take an off season or 2, but we're going to get right, man. We definitely appreciate everybody pulling up in the building today, man. Still a bunch of y'all still here, man. We appreciate that, man. Tomorrow, man, so it's going to be a short week here, man. It's the only day without football. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow, 7 p.m. We're going to be doing our previews for the 2 NFC East games. You got the Washington football team taking on the Dallas Cowboys. That's a home game for y'all? No, that's an away game. It is an away game.
Sunday night football.
And I believe with Giants, it's an away game, too. I think we're going to be... I lied. I think we're at home against the Eagles. I want to double-check that, actually, real quick before we get up out of here.
No, I think you guys are home away, because wasn't the home game the Strahan game against Philly?
It is away. So it's going to be at Philly. I might try to come up on some tickets for that game, man. Shout out to homie Tudo, who's not in the building tonight, man. He's probably busy. He said he was going to be at that Eagles game. I might try to find some tickets for that one. I know a lot of people going to that Washington Giants game, but I think that's going to be a meaningless game. I don't want to be at a meaningless game. Not that the Eagles one isn't as meaningless. If I'm going to be at a meaningless game, I need it to be a shorter drive. See what I did there? But definitely appreciate y'all all pulling up, man. Make sure to tune in 7 p.m. tomorrow, man. We'll be going over these games. You know what the Thursday night football game is?
It's a good one. That's all I know.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I think
Let's
it's
see
Colts,
what this one
Arizona.
Is it Colts, Arizona? Titans, 49ers.
Titans, 49ers. That's a good one.
8-20,
right?
man. 8-6 49ers taking on the 9-5 Titans. That should be a really good one, man. We appreciate everybody in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. Let's get some biceps in the chat before we get up out of here. I'm about to have my real dinner. I snuck in a little snack, little beef patty vibes. I'm about to get that real dinner cracking. Y'all make sure to pull back. Man, 24 hours, man. We right back at it. Less than 24 hours. We'll be right back at it here on Authentic and the Beard, man. Y'all know what it is. Left side.
Strong side.
Y'all keep raising that bar, man. Keep living those dreams, man. My man, Combat Jack, it's actually been 4 years since Combat Jack passed away. One of the best podcasters, the originator of this long format type stuff, especially in the urban hip-hop world. Big salute to Combat Jack. Big salute to the homie Premium Pete, keeping that legacy alive. When the show goes off in the credits, when you see that quote, that's from Combat Jack. And if you're not familiar with Combat Jack, he was one of the first people doing kind of what Noriega is doing with Drink Champs right now, a platform interviewing artists, giving them flowers before they pass away, and bringing light to what these people have done in their careers, man. So big shout out to Combat Jack. The legacy lives on not only through people like me, but also through his co-host Premium Pete. So keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams. Y'all know what it is, man. We will catch y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all be good. Peace.